Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Let's start the stream. Hello, everyone who's here. Hello. I felt like being a goat again today, so we're playing with the goat avatar. So chat. I'm a little closer to the mic today. I'm a little closer. I'm hoping y'all can hear me. Because I'm speaking much more softly than I usually do. Because let me give you the reasons. So, partner today just had a tooth removed. He's not having a good time. In fact, it's a very bad time. He's not okay. He's having a bad go of it. And he's trying to mostly sleep off the rest of the day. So, I'm planning to take this a little quieter, a little bit more chill. Did he go, ouch? He may have. Very, very big possibility that he may have gone, ouch. But yeah, poor thing had a tooth pulled. It was beyond saving. It needed to be removed. So yeah, he didn't have a good time. So I don't want to cause too much of a ruckus. Too much ruckus today. So let's see. How can I do this in a way where I don't have to hold the microphone the entire time, closer to my face? Whatever. We'll just deal. We'll just deal. I'll get this close. I'll get I'll sit up real close to the mic. Okay. So let's see. Just a quick little sound test. Are y'all able to hear me well enough? How's the sound? Is the sound amicable? Is my rain too loud? You can hear me? Okay, cool. Like I said, we're gonna take this in a real ASMR ass direction today. Ooh, wait a minute. Hold on. Moving things on my desk ASMR. Can I like... Oh, hell yeah. I think... Hold on. I'm doing something. And I'm very smart for it. I'm so intelligent right now. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. If I just stack a bunch of stuff under the mic, there we go. Now I'm officially closer. I'm so close. I'm so close. I can almost taste all of you. That was a weird direction to take that. I apologize. But anyway, so like I said, we're not gonna get too nuts. We're just gonna have a nice chill Goosebumps stream, especially after Tuesday was such a dumpster fire. Oh my god. I have flipped through more of the book we read on Tuesday, and it was it never gets any better. It was so awful. Oy, oy, oy. I don't know if I can trust another one of them anime light novels ever again. Boy, a lot of them feel real incel-y. I don't know. So anyway, I'm just gonna warp up to my chair. I grabbed the wrong thing. I don't know what I'm grabbing. That's the alerts. I don't want to grab that. There I am. Let's grab me. I'm gonna grab my little potato body and I'm gonna put it in my little chair. My little potato body and put it in my little potato chair. That's my snacks. I don't want the snacks. I want my book. There we go. Alright. So, I think we're pretty much just gonna go ahead and get started. As per usual, I'm just doing this for fun. I don't do this as like a job or anything yet. So, donations are always appreciated, but nobody needs to give me money or anything. It means I'm not trying to make any money off of this, which means R.L. Stine's lawyers, please do not come after me. I'm doing this for funsy magumbos. And with that said, I think we'll go ahead and dig right on into it. We're doing It Came From Under the Sink, which I am fairly certain is about an evil sponge. So this is the one where SpongeBob's gonna try and kill us. Chapter 1. Before my brother and I found the strange little creature under the sink, we were a normal, happy family. In fact, I'd have to say we were very lucky. But our luck quickly changed when we pulled the creature from its dark hiding place. This sad, frightening story begins on the day we moved. "Here we are, kids," Dad honked the horn happily as we rounded the corner onto Maple Lane and pulled up in front of our new house. "Ready for the big move, kitty cat?" My dad is the only one who can get away with calling me kitty cat. My name is Katrina. Ugh. Merton. My name is Katrina. Ugh. It's the parentheses UGH. Ugh. It's the middle name. My real name is Katrina Merton, but only the teachers call me Katrina. To everyone else, I'm simply Cat. "Definitely, Dad," I shouted. I jumped out of the station wagon. "Rof rof." Killer, our cocker spaniel, barked in agreement as he followed me out onto the sidewalk. Boy, you have to have a certain amount of. You gotta have a certain amount of chutzpah, a certain amount of. No, chutzpah is the right word to name your cocker spaniel Killer. Need I remind? Hold on a second. This is the dog. This is. Oh, wait a minute. You can't see it. Hold on a second. This is the dog that we are calling Killer. It's a mop. This is. Yep, this is a killer. Does this look like the face of mercy? This is the face of a stone cold killer. Anyway. Ambition. Daniel, my goofy little brother, is the one who named the dog. What a dumb name. Killer is afraid of everything. The only thing he kills is his rubber ball. Daniel. Hey, it just sounds to me like Daniel has a good sense of irony. A goldfish named Jaws. I would do that. I want a beta fish. I'll name him Jaws. Daniel and I had biked past the new house plenty of times already. It's only 3 blocks away from where we used to live, on East Main, but I still couldn't believe we'd be living here. I mean, I always thought our old house was pretty great, but this place is awesome. 3 stories high, sitting up on its own little hill, with butter yellow shutters and at least a dozen windows. A wide porch wraps around the whole house. The front yard must be about the size of a football field. It's not a house, it's a mansion. Well, practically a mansion. Enormous, but not exactly fancy. What Mom calls a comfortable old shoe kind of house. No, it sounds like a fucking mansion. It sounds like a fucking mansion, you yuppie motherfucker. If you're describing your yard as the size of a football field, it's a fucking mansion. Except, you're saying it's not even a particularly nice mansion, so it's shit. So you have a huge shitty house. Congratulations. Actually, today it really looked messy and old. It sure does. A few of the shutters hung crookedly. The grass needed mowing, and the whole place seemed to be covered with an inch of dust. But as Mom said, nothing that can't be taken care of with a good cleaning, a coat of paint, and a few bangs with the hammer. She starts smashing things all over the house. Mom, Dad, and Daniel climbed out of the car, and we all stood staring excitedly at the house. Today I'd finally get to see the inside. Mom pointed to the second floor. "See that big balcony?" she asked. "That's the room where your father and I will sleep. The next room over is Daniel's." She gave my hand a little squeeze. "The little balcony, that's outside your room, Cat," she beamed. "My very own private porch." I leaned over and gave Mom a hug. "I love it already," I whispered into her ear. I thought to myself, I can hawk so many fucking loogies off of this balcony. I could just sit outside and just spit on people as they come in. To spit on the peasants who come to see my dirty mansion. Naturally, Daniel started whining immediately. He's 10 years old, but most of the time he acts as if he's about 2. How come Cat's room has a balcony and mine doesn't, he complained. It's not fair. I want a balcony too. Get a life, Daniel, I muttered. Oh, fucking owned. Mom, tell him to be quiet. Don't I get something for being 2 years older? Well, almost 2 years older. My birthday was in 4 days. It was in 4 days. Quiet, kids, Mom ordered. Daniel, you don't have a balcony, but you are getting something neat. You are getting something neat, too. Bunk beds. So Carlo can sleep over whenever you want. Excellent, Daniel shouted. Carlo is Daniel's best friend. They're always together, and always bugging me. they're always fucking pissing me off. Daniel is okay, most of the time, but he insists on being right. Dad calls him Mr. Know-It-All. And sometimes Dad calls Daniel the human tornado, because he runs around like a whirlwind and makes unbelievable messes. I'm a lot more like my dad. Sort of calm and quiet. Well, usually calm. And we both have the same favorite foods. Lasagna, really sour garlic pickles, and mocha chip ice cream. About 2 of the 3 of those. No, I guess mocha chip's pretty good. Mocha chip's alright. I don't know about the sour garlic pickles. I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like the idea of sour garlic pickles. I like garlic, but I don't like those other 2 words. Not a fan. Since I switched over to the goat, I forgot all my presets. So I'm just like, pulled my book out. Those are my snacks. There we go. I even look like my father, tall and thin with a lot of freckles and reddish hair. I usually wear my hair in a ponytail. Dad doesn't have much hair to worry about. Bald-ass motherfucker. Daniel, who's calling me? I'm reading. Who the hell's calling me? Go away, potential scam. Spam. Piss off. Dad doesn't have any hair. And he just says that. She just says that out loud. And he's like, I can hear you. And she's like, I know. You have no fucking hair, Dad. Daniel looks more like my mother. Straight light brown hair that's always falling in his eyes. And what Mom calls a sturdy build. That means he's chunky. Shut up. Today Daniel was definitely in human tornado mode. He ran up onto the big green lawn and began spinning around in a circle. It's huge, he shouted. It's gigantic. It's super house. He collapsed in a heap on the grass. And this is the super yard. Hey, Cat, look at me. I'm Super Daniel. You're super dumb, I told him, messing up his hair with both hands. Once again, fucking owned. Get wrecked. Hey, quit it, Daniel yelped. He pulled out his super soaker gun and squirted the front of my t-shirt. You're captured, he announced. You are my prisoner. Where was he hiding? Where was he keeping a super soaker? He just had that on him this entire time? I really want to imagine that he just, like, comically pulled out, like... Hold on a second. I wonder. What's the biggest super soaker you can get? Super soaker. Biggest super soaker. What's the biggest super soaker you can get? Hold on, let me whoops. That's the wrong thing. I don't know what I just moved. What am I moving? Those are the stream alerts. Put those back. Hold on, where am I? I'm just gonna move myself off to the side a little bit. The absolute god super soaker. The most enormous. What about the largest, like, commercially available? Not just, like, something someone put together. This guy's ready to fight. This man is prepared for war. He's ready to fucking throw down. Destroy. Obliterated. Daniel just pulls out one of these babies and just, like, obliterates his sister's face. Anyway. uh, that's YouTuber Smarter Every Day. Oh, wait, no, it's not. 2-8. 2-8. I assume you mean wait. I'm like active, like, so like I'm trying to keep like the caliber of my jokes and commentary a little quieter this time. So I'm like it's taking me some practice to find like just the right level of like humor to like not loud cuz I'm trying to let my partner fucking sleep. Okay, anyway. I don't think so, I replied, tugging on the water pistol. Give up the gun, I commanded. I pulled harder. Let go. Okay, Daniel grinned. He loosened his grip so suddenly that I staggered backwards and fell onto the sidewalk. What a klutz, Daniel snickered. Revenge kill. I knew how to get him. I zoomed up the porch steps. Hey, Daniel, I called. I'm going to be the first in the new house. No way, he exclaimed, scrambling off the lawn. He hurled himself at the steps and grabbed me by the ankle. Me first, me first. That's when Dad walked up the driveway, carrying an overstuffed cardboard box with kitchen written on the side. It had the entire kitchen in it. It was just a whole kitchen that he shoved into a box, and as soon as he opened it, it was going to explode and there would just be kitchen all over the room. I'm very funny. Laugh at my jokes. Do it now. I'm using the... You know what? Hold on a second. I don't have as many... Hold on. I wanted to be the goat today, but here's the thing. I don't have my gun. I don't have my gun when I'm the goat. So, we're going back over to the shadow blob. I don't have my gun, and I don't have my knife. So we're switching back over so I can pull out my gun. I forgot what I was doing. Sorry. Every time I look at my little avatar with the realistic gun out, I lose my shit. Okay, anyway. Two moving men followed, hauling our big blue couch. Hey, stop goofing around. Mom and I really need your help today. That's why we allowed you to miss a school day, he called. Daniel, walk Killer and make sure he has food and water. Cat, keep an eye on Daniel. Daniel, do a job. Cat, make sure he doesn't fuck it up. And Cat, clean the inside of the kitchen cabinets, okay? Dad added. Mom wants to start putting those dishes and pots away. Sure, Dad, I answered. I saw Daniel rummaging through a box on the lawn. The box was marked cards and comics. You got any Pokemon cards? you got any Pokemans? Hey, where's the dog? I yelled to him. He shrugged. Daniel, I frowned. I don't see Killer anywhere. Where is he? He dropped a stack of baseball cards. Okay, I'll go find him, he mumbled. He stood up and made his way to the driveway, calling the dog's name. As soon as he disappeared around the side of the house, I hurried to the box marked cards and comics and checked through it. I lit a match and just started burning them. Lit the entire damn thing on fire because fuck that kid. Sure enough, the little brat had stolen some of my comics. I tucked them under my arm and walked inside to the kitchen to clean out the cabinets. One quick glance made me groan. Cabinets filled just about every square inch of the bright room. Sighing, I yanked paper towels and a bottle of cleaner out of the cleaning supplies box and started scrubbing. Spritz, rub, spritz, rub. This could take hours. After I finished... See, now, if you had that power... If you had that if you had that water gun, could have made short work of this. In fact, I'm not even convinced that you let it go yet, so you could just pour the cleaner... You could just pour the cleaner into the super soaker and just, power wash your entire kitchen and your cabinets, and then just wipe it all down. See, this is what we call thinking smarter, not harder. This is me being a genius. This is me making shit up. After I finished a cabinet, I stepped back to admire my work. Then I knelt down in front of the cabinet under the sink. But something, a squeaky noise like the sound of a footstep on an old wooden stair, made me stop short. What is that, I wondered, my heart beating faster. I slowly opened the cabinet and tried to peek inside. I opened it a little wider, a little wider. I heard the noise again. My heart was pounding now. I opened the cabinet door another inch, and then it grabbed me, a dark, hairy claw. It wouldn't let go. I screamed. Okay, so before I continue on into Chapter 2, is this either A, a mouse, B, the dog, or C, a raccoon, or a cat? I'm assuming it's the dog. Because, that's the way these always work, is that there's a little bit of a cliffhanger, and then it's like, oh, it turns out it was something we already knew about. It's not the monster. Oh, we were all wrong. Daniel, you scared me to death, I screamed. I pounded him on the back. It was the child. Oh, I hadn't considered that. You can frequently find children in under-sink cabinets. Laughing his head off, my brother yanked off the stupid rat... Wait, he had a rat costume? Laughing his head off, my brother yanked off the stupid rat costume he had insisted on packing. So he ran in, and so he ran off to look for the dog, then somehow managed to find his way into the house, find his rat costume, and then hide in a cabinet for just long enough to be able to catch his sister. You know what? I admire this kid's gumption. I admire his planning. You should have seen your face, he cried. Know what? I'm going to start calling you Scaredy Cat. Oh, absolute back and forth on this tennis court of sibling rivalry. Haha, very funny, I replied, rolling my eyes. Did I mention that Daniel also thinks he's the king of practical jokes? I suddenly remembered what my brother was supposed to be doing. Dad asked you to find Killer. Where is he? I didn't have to find him, Daniel snickered. He was never lost. What do you mean? I demanded. I stuck Killer in the basement, he said proudly. While you were hanging around on the porch, I ran in through the side door and hid under the sink. Yeah, exactly. This kid knows how to plan. This kid had it all figured out. You really are a big rat, I exclaimed. I heard a funny tapping on the linoleum floor. What's that noise? I asked. Daniel's mouth dropped open. Oh no, it's a real rat, he shrieked. Cat, look out, move. Without thinking, I jumped onto the kitchen chair as Killer came trotting into the kitchen. Daniel let out a high-pitched laugh. Twice on the same trick. Double kill. Hold on. Hold on a second. Move my jiggly body over real quick. Yeah, here we go.
Double kill.
Double kill. Girl just got owned. Twice with the same trick. He was very pleased with himself. I dove at my brother, ready to tickle him. Prepare to die laughing, I yelled. Stop, help, no, he gulped. Cat, please stop. I can't take it. I can't fucking take it. I can't fucking take it anymore. Give up, I asked. Daniel nodded. Yes, he half gasped, half laughed. All right, I said generously. You can get up now. Thanks, he said. Hey, what's Killer doing over there? No way, I'm not falling for another one of your tricks, I declared. But when I glanced over, the Cocker Spaniel did seem very interested in something inside the sink cabinet I'd left open. He pulled it out, then sniffed, pushed it back with his nose, and gave it a head-tossing growl. That's weird, I thought. Killer never growls. What do you have there, boy? I called to him. Hold on. There we go. Pages are stuck. The dog didn't even look up. Sniff, 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 sniff. Grrr. I don't know how to grr in a way that's not sultry. Just grrr. Like, I'm just immediately like, oh, hello. Growl. Grr. I leaned in for a closer view. What is it, Cat? Daniel asked. Nothing much, I answered casually. Just an old sponge, I think. Sniff, sniff, sniff. Grrr. It seemed perfectly ordinary, small, round, and light brown, a little bigger than an egg. But the sponge had Killer all excited and nervous. The dog danced around it, barking and growling. I snatched the sponge from him to get a better look, and my sweet dog tried to bite me. Killer, I yelled. Bad boy! He slunk to a corner with an embarrassed howl. He lay his head down sadly on his paws. I held the sponge up close to my face to study it better. Whoa, wait a minute! I suddenly understood Killer's strange behavior. Daniel, check it out! I exclaimed. Wow, I don't believe this. This is a collector item from 1970-11. This is the Power Scrub 11D5 Power Wash 300. Only 500 were ever made. Anyway. The sponge collector, new character. Snobbish sponge collector. Chapter 3. Huh? What is it, Cat? Daniel cried. I stared in shock at the tiny sponge. Maybe my eyes are playing tricks on me, I muttered. It's totally weird. Come on, Cat, Daniel insisted. What is it? I studied the sponge some more. Wow, I gasped. My eyes weren't fooling me. The round sponge moved in my hand, gently and slowly, in and out in a lazy rhythm, as if it were breathing. But sponges don't breathe, do they? Yeah, they totally do. They breathe. Sounds like a JoJo villain. This must... Evil sponge. This must be the work of an enemy stand. This one sure did. I could even hear its little breaths. Anyway, I don't know how to read this out because it's basically written like whoa, wah. So I'm just interpreting that as like. Actually, that yawn was completely unplanned, but hey, that'll do. Daniel, I don't think this is just a sponge, I stammered. I think it's alive. I tossed it back into the sink cabinet. I admit it, I felt a little scared. My brother put his hands on his hips. That's a pretty lame joke, he snickered. But Daniel, I started. You can't get me with that one, Cat. It's an old sponge, he insisted, grinning. A dirty old sponge that's probably been here for 100 years. All right, don't believe me, I exclaimed. When I'm famous for discovering this thing, I won't tell them you're my brother. Mom walked by carrying an armload of winter coats. I knew that she would believe me. Said no child in a Goosebumps book ever. Except now. Mom, I yelled, the sponge, it's alive. That's nice, dear. That's nice, dear. That's real nice. That's great, she murmured. Only a few more things to bring in. Now, where did I put that box of silverware? My mother acted as if she didn't even hear me. Mom, I started again even louder this time. The sponge under the sink. It's breathing. She ignored me and kept walking through the kitchen, right out the screen door into the backyard. Nobody cared about my amazing find. Except for Killer. He seemed really interested. Maybe too interested. Killer bent his neck down low, poked his head into the cabinet, and gave the sponge a long stare, and growled deep in his throat. I don't know how to growl, I'm sorry. Why was he growling again? Killer touched his wet nose to the sponge. He shoved it around, sniffing and sniffing. He gazed up at me for a moment, a puzzled expression on his dog face, as opposed to his cat face. Book, please stop giving me all these gurs to have to read out. I don't know how to do it without sounding like a fucking goobulus. Killer opened his mouth and grabbed the sponge in his teeth. Hey, that's not lunch, I yelped, grabbing Killer by his collar and yanking him out from under the sink. That could be a very important discovery, or it could be like a giant wad of mold. It could be a fungus. It could be a fungus that's... It's a fungus, and you know what fungus... Why am I not animating? Why am I not animating? Why is my avatar not animating? What's happening? I was gonna make a joke. Why is my standing animation not working? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What happened? Where's my mouth? Where's my mouth? There's my mouth. What the hell? My mouth. My mouth was missing. Whatever. Nah, it's fine. Nah, it's fine. It's great. I was almost about to X out of that. We don't want that. There we go. I was gonna make an Among Us joke, but then I like a fungus Among Us joke, but then I got too distracted by the fact that I had no mouth. I have no mouth and I must stream. Anyway. See, Daniel? Killer knows it's alive, I insisted. Honest, it's not a trick. Look closer. I promise that you'll see it's breathing. Daniel smirked as if he didn't believe me, but he poked his head into the cabinet. Hey, whoa, you might be right, he admitted. He pulled himself up to face me. I think it is alive, and I also think it's mine. With that, he dove under the sink to grab the sponge. No way, I protested. I grabbed the back of his t-shirt and hauled him out. I saw it first. The sponge belongs to me. Is this like the only time in the history of siblings that like two siblings have fought over a sponge? No, probably not. Well, I mean, because like if you count SpongeBob, then this has probably happened many, many times. Just around everywhere. He shook me off and dove back down again. Finders keepers, he cried. I made another grab for him, but before I could touch him, Daniel uttered a blood-curdling scream of pain. He does like the Tom scream. I don't want to blow your guys' eardrums out, so I'm going to let that play through first. Like, that's the exact scream that he uses. I really hope I didn't accidentally blow out anyone's eardrums with that. Ah! Aye! You could probably hear Daniel's wail for blocks. That got Mom's attention. She came banging through the screen door from the backyard. What happened? Who screamed? What's wrong? What's going on? Who? Where? When? How? Mom demanded. Daniel backed out from under the sink, holding his head. He squinted up at us. I hit my head on the sink, he wailed. Cat pushed me. Mom knelt down and put her arm around Daniel. Oh, you poor thing, she said soothingly. She patted his head softly. I did not push him, I declare. I did not do it. I did not. I did not push him. I did not. Oh, hi, Mom. I didn't even touch him. Daniel groaned and rubbed the side of his head. It really hurts, he complained. I'll probably have a huge bump there. He glared at me. You did it on purpose, and it's not your sponge anyway. It was in the house, so it belongs to all of us. It is so my sponge, I insisted. What's your problem, Daniel? Why do you always want what's mine? That's enough, Mom cried impatiently. I can't believe you're fighting over a stupid sponge. Yeah, I'm kind of with the mom on that. You two are kind of idiots. Mom turned to me. Kat, you're supposed to be keeping an eye on your brother, aren't you? She demanded. And Daniel, don't take things that aren't yours. She turned to leave the room. Not one more word about a silly sponge or you'll both be sorry. And then she, like, she just, like, pounds her fist into her palm. She's just like, you'll be sorry. I'm sorry, that's awful. I shouldn't make a joke where the punchline is fucking child abuse. You'll be sorry, and then she, like, pulls out the super soaker. She turned to leave. Oh, yeah. As soon as Mom left the room, Daniel stuck out his tongue at me and crossed his eyes. Thanks for getting me in trouble, he grumbled. He stomped off, with Killer at his heels. Alone in the kitchen, I bent down, reached my hand to the sink, and picked up the sponge. Everyone's yelling and screaming around here, I whispered to it. You're causing a lot of trouble, aren't you? It's not really the sponge's fault. It's kind of all y'all's fault for fighting over a fucking sponge. That's probably only seems like it's alive because it's got like a millennia of fungus in it. I felt sort of dumb talking to a sponge. But it didn't feel like a sponge, not at all. It's warm, I thought in surprise. Warm and damp. Hey, that's what it says on my business cards. Heyo. Are you alive? I asked the wrinkled little ball. I closed my hand around it softly, and the weirdest thing happened. The sponge started moving in my hand. Well, not exactly moving. Pulsing, slowly and gently. You know what else is pulsing slowly and gently? Ka-chunk, ka-chunk. It moved like the plastic model heart we used in science class. Could I be feeling a heartbeat? I peered curiously at the thing. I ran my fingertips over the wrinkles that covered it, pushing back the folds of spongy, moist material. Whoa, I cried, startled. 2 wet, black eyes stared out at me. I shuddered. Yuck! You aren't a sponge at all, I thought. Sponges don't have eyes, do they? Yeah, they do. They totally do. Go to your kitchen, look at your sponge. It has eyes. What are you? I needed some answers, quick. But who could I talk to? Not Mom. She didn't want to hear about the sponge. Dad! Dad, I called out, dashing through the living room into the dining room. Where are you? He shouted. What? I yelled, running through the house. Oh, here you are. Oh, there you are. Dad stood at the top of a ladder in the front hall. He had a hammer in one hand and a big roll of black electrician's tape in the other, and a bunch of nails in his mouth. He mumbled. Dad, what are you trying to say? I asked. He spit the nails out. I have a bunch of nails in my mouth. Please help me. Sorry, Dad grumbled. I have to get this hall light working. These darn old wires. He stared down at a pile of tools on the floor. Cat, hand me those pliers. If this doesn't do it, I'll have to call an electrician. If these pliers don't do it. Dad is great at getting flowers to bloom and grass to grow, but when it comes to handyman stuff, he messes up. A lot. Love how this girl keeps throwing shade. She's just like, my dad has no hair, and he can't fix shit. One time, he tried to fix a fan and knocked out the electricity all over the neighborhood. Who's this Homer Simpson-ass dad you have? How do you even manage that? There's a lot of extra steps that it would take from fixing the fan to knocking out all the power. Here, Dad, I handed him the pliers and held up the sponge. Check this out, I urged. I stood on tiptoes so he could see the sponge up close. I found it under the sink, and it's warm, and it has eyes, and it's alive. I can't figure out what it is. Dad peered out from under his baseball cap. Well, let's have a look at that, he offered. I shoved the sponge up so he could reach it. He leaned down to grab the sponge from me. I didn't see the ladder wobble. I didn't see it start to tilt over. I only saw Dad's expression change. I saw his eyes go wide and his mouth opened in a startled scream. As he started to fall, he does like a Homer Simpson scream. That's what I'm imagining now. Just, ah! As he started to fall, he grabbed the light in the ceiling for support. No! The entire moment's in slow motion. The light came crashing down on his head. Dad sailed off the top of the ladder. He lay on the hall floor, perfectly still. Mom! 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 Dad's fucking dead! Dad fucking died! Dad just ate shit. Dad, Mom, come quick, it's Dad! He's fucking dead! Chapter 5. Mom, Daniel, and I huddled around Dad. His eyes fluttered open. He blinked. Huh? He murmured. What happened? You had a fucking concussion, Homer. Dad shook his head and pushed himself up on his elbows. I think I'm okay, guys, he said shakily. Dad tried to stand up, but he collapsed to the floor. Oh, oh, my ankle. I think it may be broken. He groaned in pain. I imagine that's supposed to be like, oh, my ankle, I think it may be broken, he groaned in pain. But I'm still going to interpret that as if he's just like looking over and very casually like, oh, I think my ankle's broken. With me on one side and Mom on the other, we helped Dad to the couch. Oof, that really hurt. Oof, that really hurts, he moaned. He rubbed the ankle tenderly, lovingly, with all of the joy in his heart. Canonically, the reason Homer is dumb is because he has a crayon shoved up his nose and it limits his mental capacity. Yup, you're not wrong. I remember that episode. I think I have the DVD with it somewhere. Yeah, he removes it, and then, like, his brain gets better, but then by the end, he's like, oh, everyone hates me for being smart, and then he just, like, has it shoved back into his brain. And then no one ever brings it up for the rest of forever. Daniel, go get some ice. Go get some ice into a towel for your father. Go get some ice onto a towel for your father. It's my best Marge. Mom instructed. Cat, get him a cold drink. Now, honey, Mom whispered, wiping Dad's brow. Tell me. Oh, now, honey, tell me what happened. When I came running back into the living room with a tall glass of ice water, Mom and Dad had the weirdest expressions on their faces. Cat, Mom said angrily, did you push your father? Why did you push the ladder? Dad asked, rubbing his ankle. Huh? Excuse me? I sputtered. I didn't push you. I wouldn't. We'll discuss this later, young lady, Mom said sternly. For now, I've got to take care of your father. I'm just going to assume you're lying, honey. You don't deserve any benefit of the doubt unless you can prove otherwise. You're a child. We can just sort of assume that you just do bad shit, and we just don't have to look any further. She leaned over and applied the ice pack to Dad's swelling ankle. I felt a hot red flush of embarrassment creep over my face. How could Dad think I pushed him? I lowered my eyes and realized I still held the sponge. And I realized something else, something strange and scary. Instead of pulsing gently, the sponge throbbed in my hand, throbbed wildly. Ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. Vibrating as if someone had turned a blender to high speed. The sponge practically purred with excitement. Whoa. Hey, whoa, 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 whoa. I sat down on the hall floor, feeling shaky. What's going on here, I wondered. Daniel thought I pushed him, and Dad said the same thing. They both think I pushed them. Why? The sponge throbbed warmly in my hand. I shivered with fear. Suddenly the sponge seemed kind of scary. I didn't want the thing anywhere near me or my family. I ran outside. I found a big metal garbage can near the garage. I lifted the lid, dropped the sponge inside, pushed the lid shut firmly. Back inside the house, Mom called me into the living room. I think Dad's ankle is only sprained, she said. Now tell me what happened. Thursday, I sat at my desk, writing down the names of guests for my birthday party. I had just finished telling my mom everything that happened, but we're not going to talk about that. The big day was only 2 days away. I had to give the list to Mom today, so she could buy enough favors for Saturday. So she could buy enough favors from the Don Corleone. I needed enough favors for my daughter's birthday party. The favors from the mob. I heard Daniel babbling away to Carlo as the two boys clambered noisily up the stairs. Check it out! It looks like an old sponge! It looks like an old sponge! But it's alive, Daniel explained. I bet it's a prehistoric creature like a dinosaur or something. Shut up, you stupid kid. Shut the fuck up. You don't know shit. You don't know anything. You don't know what a dinosaur looks like. You don't even know. I jumped up and ran out of my room. Hey, I yelled at Daniel, what are you doing with that? I pointed at the sponge in his hands. I threw that thing away. I found it in the garbage can, Daniel replied. It's too cool to throw away. Right, Carlo? Carlo shrugged, his shaggy black hair touching his shoulders. Looks like an old sponge. What's the big deal? Yeah, I'm with Carlo here. Even Carlo's sitting here like, this is really, you guys, really? This is what you guys are freaking out about? It's a fucking sponge. It's a very big deal, I shot back, and that thing is definitely not a sponge. I pulled a large book from my new bookcase. I checked the encyclopedia, I explained. Under sponges. You should have left it in the trash. I looked at it. Hey. I looked up what a sponge is in the encyclopedia, and I know that's not a sponge. You idiot. You fool. You absolute clown. That's no sponge. I explained. Under sponge. You should have left it in the trash, Daniel. You really should have. What did the encyclopedia say? Daniel said eagerly, plopping down on my bed. He held the sponge between his hands. It said that sponges don't have eyes. Holy shit, really? Really? Oh my god. I replied. And they can live only in the water. If they're out of the water for more than 30 minutes, they die. Oh, like she was looking... Okay, I might be the idiot now, because I thought she was literally looking up, like, scrubby sponges, and not, like, ocean sponges. If it's not from the loofah region of the Pacific, it's only a sparkling sponge. It'll fucking die. See, Carlo, it's not a sponge, Daniel declared. Our creature has eyes. It's been out of water since we found it. Well, I don't see any eyes, and it sure doesn't look alive to me, said Carlo doubtfully. Daniel leaped off the bed and offered his friend the sponge. Hold it, you'll see. If I was at a kid's house and he was like, here, hold this sponge, it's alive, I'd be like, yeah, alright, I'm gonna head out now. I'm out of here. Okay, bye. Carlo carefully cradled the sponge. He cradled the sponge in his hands like a newborn calf. His big brown eyes grew wide. It's warm, and it's moving. It's squirming. It is alive. Carlo spun around to face me. But if it's not a sponge, then what is it? I haven't figured that out yet, I admitted. Maybe it's some kind of super sponge, Daniel offered, so powerful that it can live on land. It could be part sponge and part another animal, added Carlo, gazing at it. Can I take it home for a while? It really spooks Sandy. Sandy is Carlo's babysitter. I'll bring it right back, Carlo promised. No way, Carlo, I said quickly. I think I'll keep the sponge right here until I know exactly what it is. Here, stick it in this old gerbil cage. Aw, come on, Carlo begged, petting the sponge on top of its wrinkled little head. We pet your little sponge. Oh, this little sponge gets a little pet on the head. Oh, it's a little baby sponge. Aw, come on, Carlo begged, petting the sponge on top of its wrinkled little head. See, it likes me. No way, I replied. Daniel, tell your friend to quit bugging me. Okay, Carlo muttered. Hey, what does this little guy eat, anyway? I don't know, I replied, but it seems to be fine without eating. Put it in the cage. Carlo reached into the gerbil cage and set the creature down. As he did, his face filled with horror. I saw his arm tremble. Then he let out a terrified scream. Hey, there's still a gerbil in here. No. Ah, my hand! It ate my hand! No, it didn't. No, it didn't. I know how these books go. Your hand didn't get fucking ate. You're fucking goofing on us. You're not gonna get me with that. You gotta get up pretty early in the morning and pull one over on this guy. Chapter 6. No, I shrieked. His mouth twisted in horror. Carlo yanked his arm away from the gerbil cage and shoved it in my face. Oh, I gasped. Carlo wiggled his hand in my face and began to laugh. His hand was perfectly okay. See, I fucking told you. I told y'all. You doubted me. I knew it, though. You're horrible, I yelled. That is so completely not funny. It's sick. It's sick as fuck. Carlo and Daniel collapsed with laughter. Excellent joke, Daniel grinned. Hey, Carlo, give me a... Give me a hand. He He and Carlos slapped each other high fives. Way to go! Way to go, bro! Way to go, dude, Daniel cried. I glared at the dumb, immature brats, and immature brats. You know, guys, this isn't funny, I said seriously. We don't know what kind of creature this sponge is. We don't know what kind of creature you are either, Daniel announced with a big grin. Oh! These kids have, like, a real solid, like, back and forth score count. Muscle Man voice. Oh no, bro! Oh no, bro! If I'm a creature, then you're a creature's baby brother, I shot back. Pretty weak. Y'all can't see me doing like this little non-committal hand wavy gesture, but like, pretty weak. Hey, I have an idea, said Carlo, winking at Daniel. Maybe you should put the sponge on a leash and take it for a walk. The exercise will give it an appetite. He hooted with laughter. He really cracked himself up. But it doesn't have legs, Daniel chimed in. She can roll it down Maple Lane, Carlo suggested. More laughter. That's it. You guys, get out, I shouted. Leave me in the sponge alone. Leave me alone. I want to be alone with the sponge now. Leave me in the sponge alone, now. Slapping each other a high five, Daniel and Carlo turned to leave. I could hardly wait for them to go. I needed to be by myself for a while, to sit and figure out what I could do with this little round creature. But before Carlo and Daniel got out of the bedroom door, a scream made me nearly jump to the ceiling. I turned to see Carlo hopping frantically up and down on one foot. Oh, right, I said, like I'm going to believe another one of your stupid jokes. Carlo, his face twisted in pain, pointed wildly to his foot, falling back onto the bed with a groan. He yanked off his sneaker. Blood oozed through his white sock. Oh, jeez. A nail, he gasped. I stepped on a nail. Okay, well, I mean, that's not really... I feel like that's the dad's fault more than anything. He's the one who let all the nails fly out of his mouth. I dropped my eyes to the sneaker on the floor. A long nail had poked through the thick rubber sole, and into Carlo's foot. Tom, you need a tetanus shot, like, now. Weird, I thought. Where did a nail come from? Hey, it's really bleeding, Carlo wailed. Do something. Do something. So I got down on one leg, and I just started sucking all the blood out of the sock. Like a sponge. Anyway. And then I thought, oh, I'll take the sponge. And I'll use the sponge on the blood. Actually, with where this is going, that might actually be what happens. I searched around frantically for something to use as bandage. As I did, my eyes rested on the sponge in the gerbil cage. Whoa, I cried. The sponge quivered and shook. It shook with what seemed like joy. And it breathed so loudly that I could hear the eerie sound from the other side of the room. As I wrapped an old t-shirt around Carlo's foot, two questions ran through my mind. What in the world is happening here? And where did America lose its way? Anyway, no. Why did the sponge creature suddenly get so excited? I wouldn't find out the frightening truth about the sponge creature until the next day. When I learned it, I understood why there were so many accidents in our new house. It made me wish that I had never opened that cabinet, never reached under the sink, never found the spongy thing, because now it was too late. Too late for us all. That sound effect was on point. Chapter 7. Cat, it's all set. Mom grinned at me the next morning when I walked into the kitchen for breakfast. What's all set? I asked sleepily. Your birthday party tomorrow, Mom replied, giving me a quick hug. Mom's very big on hugging. Loves hugging. Absolutely loves it. Can't get enough of it. How could you forget? She asked in surprise. We've been planning your birthday for weeks. My party, I breathed with delight. Oh, I can't wait. I sat down at the table for cornflakes and orange... I sat down at the table for my cornflakes and orange juice, and I thought back to the sponge. Birthday parties are a really big deal around the Merton house. Mom always orders a big cake, and she makes all the invitations and decorations by hand. This year, I helped with the invitations. We cut them out of purple construction paper and used pink sparkle pen to write the words. I usually have a theme for my parties. Last year the theme was Make Your Own Pizza, and it was awesome. My friends talked about it for weeks. I'm not going to keep doing that. Now that I'm going to be 12, I decided I'm too old for a theme. No. 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 Have a theme. Dude, keep doing themes. I'm gonna if I don't usually have I don't have birthday parties, but if I had birthday parties, you bet they'd be damn well themed. I'm 32, damn it. I can still have a theme party. So mom and dad are taking me and my five of my best friends to Wonder Park for the entire day. Wonder Park is definitely the coolest. It has 2 wave pools, a whole bunch of water slides, and the Monster Masher. That's the scariest upside-down roller coaster I've ever been on. Just how cool is it? Well, last summer, Carlo lost his lunch after a ride on the Masher. He got off the Masher and he was like, "Where's my lunch? I left it right here." And we were all like, "Well, I guess it's lost." And he's like, "Oh." And there's the Monster Mash. Pretty cool. "This is going to be my best birthday ever," I exclaimed, smiling across the table at Mom. I turned to Daniel. "Sorry, you're not invited. This is for 12-year-olds only." "No fair. Why can't I come along?" he complained, banging his spoon into his cereal and splashing milk all over the table. "I promise I won't talk to any of Kat's friends. Who would want to? Please let me come." I started to feel sort of bad. I started to change my mind. And then Daniel totally ruined his chance. He folded his arms over his chest. "Kat gets everything around here," he grumbled. "She won't even share the sponge with me." She won't even share the sponge. She won't even share the sponge with me. She won't even share the sponge with me. "That old thing Kat found under the sink?" Mom asked in surprise. "Who'd want it?" "Me," yelled Daniel. "Well, I found it, so it's mine, and I'm bringing my sponge to school today," I informed Daniel. "Why?" Mom, I really love picturing the mother just being like, "Why?" Like, I wonder. I don't know. I don't know how to search for this. How would I search this? Um. Here we go. the, the mom is. Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. Whoopsie. Damn. Wrong thing. Move myself over. Like, she's just doing this in her head, like, trying to calculate, like, the sponge? Why the sponge? Why the sponge, though? Why the sponge? What? Why do they want the sponge? Anyway. Also, 2 wave pools should be standard. They always fill up too fast. I haven't been to a water park in a long time now that I think about it. We have a water. Well, I think it actually shut down a few years ago, but there's a water park here that was it was called Breakers, and like the real big attraction was just this like gigantic wave pool, and whenever you show up, there's just like 100 gorillion people in there, and when I think about it, it was just like a big people soup. And then they had these other slides and like other attractions, and they always looked like hilariously unsafe. Like, and I mean, this is, I don't know if like places like this still exist anymore, but it was absolutely the kind of place where there were just like checked out teenagers at the top of the slide that just give you this like you get a mat that's like to like sit on while you're sliding down the slide, and it's like been chewed up to hell. It's got holes in it. It's like barely holding together, and they're just like, "Yeah, go ahead, just get in there." And you get in these slides that are made of like hard plastic, and you can just like feel the rivets in your back while you go down. What was it? There was another one that was like it was like almost a 90 degree like a 90 degree drop where you just have to like hold on to your fucking to your like you sat on this like plastic thing that had handles on it, and you just had to like grip that shit real hard as you were falling. And it was the most like a kid probably died on this thing attraction, because there was like nothing stopping you from just tumbling and cracking your head open. Though there was, so here's the thing, I have this memory, like this long locked away memory in my brain of this other water park that was it was called like Justin's Water World. I wonder, can I like, I'm super curious now. I'm gonna move myself back over here. I wonder, did my brain just make that up? Yeah, that was okay. So it was real. Wow, all these pictures kind of look like shit. All these pictures are like of desolate, destroyed, and like nothing. Holy shit. The wave pool that has nothing in it. Hold on. Let me move myself again so that you guys can see this more clearly. This wave pool that just has nothing in it and there's just all this graffiti everywhere. Image doesn't want to load too much. Whatever the hell's going on here. Oh my god, these must be pictures of this place that are like abandoned now. Cuz this place used to be like, it used to be like almost, I want to say, from like a kid's perspective, it was like a water town. You know? Like you would go through and there was like um yeah, it's just abandoned now. Holy shit, no way. But I remember it being really cool though. Like it was this super neat place. It had this like cool like wood aesthetic to everything, and there were so many like winding paths in and out of places. And it was just like it was a water world. Like it was really cool. And I only ever went there once. But I have such like a vivid memory of how that place of like how that place felt that one time that I went. That'd be a six spot stakes and Polaroids. That would be like an abandoned water park would be like one of the best settings for like a horror story, in my opinion. That'd be like that. I'm not big on wanting to explore abandoned places. I could be convinced to explore an abandoned water park. That actually, I don't know, something about that sounds kind of sick. I'd want to just take pictures in an abandoned water park. I bet it'd be fun. Anyway, so that was that tangent. So I've completely lost track of where. Oh yeah, yeah. We were talking about we were talking about how the mom's like, why are you kids fighting over a sponge? What? Yeah. Okay. So then she's saying she's taking the sponge to school. Why? Mom asked. I'm gonna show it to Miss Vanderhoff. I explained. Maybe she'll know what it is. Now I need to find a carrier for my sponge. I searched around in the kitchen cabinets. Perfect, I proclaimed, holding up a plastic container labeled deli. It still smelled faintly of potato salad. With an old pair of scissors, I punched a few air holes into the top of the container, thus ruining a perfectly good container, by the way. Then I ran upstairs to get the sponge. Back in the kitchen, I set the sealed container on the floor and opened the refrigerator. Mom, I called, which lunch bag is mine? The blue one, honey, she replied. I grabbed my lunch and shut the refrigerator. I heard a sniffing sound coming from the kitchen floor. I looked down. Killer, what are you doing, boy? I smiled at the floppy-eared dog. Sniff, 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 sniff. He sniffed at the container. He pawed the ground and growled. Here we go again, I thought. Killer set his ears back, circling the container suspiciously. Oh, okay. Sorry, I paused for a second. I heard a dog barking outside, but for a second I thought it was like someone calling me. I really hope I haven't been too loud for him. I wanna let my boy sleep. The poor fella's missing a damn tooth. I need him to rest. Anyway, the dog barked and barked and barked. "Killer, get back," I shouted. But the dog was way too excited to listen to me. "Mom, Daniel," I called, "help me get Killer away. I think he wants to eat the sponge for breakfast." Mom grabbed Killer by his collar and hauled him, still growling, away from the container. She pushed the door open and shooed the dog into the backyard. "Go outside, boy. Go outside, boy. There you go," she said gently. Mom turned to me. "What's got that dog so upset? He sure is acting strange. Now get a move on or you'll be late for school, and then I'll be growling and barking." And then, like, the audience laugh track goes off. Throwing my backpack over my shoulder, I gave Mom a quick kiss goodbye and followed Daniel out the door. "Watch this," he yelled, dashing across the street to their Nothing's house and planting himself underneath their basketball hoop. Daniel faked a dribble and a pass and ran madly around in circles. "Bet you can't jump this high," he said, pretending to sink a basket. "Come on, Daniel," I replied, walking quickly down the street. "Miss Vanderhoff will keep me after school if I show up late." Daniel trotted over to me. Suddenly his eyes bulged. "Cat, look out!" he screamed. Crack, 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 crack. I don't really know how to read that sound effect. Crack. I heard a frightening sound above my head, a loud cracking, as if someone had cracked about 1,000 knuckles at the same time. I glanced up in time to see a huge dead tree branch hurtling down through the air. I froze. I couldn't scream. I couldn't move. I couldn't move a muscle. I was about to be crushed into cat litter. Bummer. Oh, a terrified moan escaped my throat. "Oh, my tumby. Oh, my head." I felt someone shove me hard from behind. The force of it sent me flying to the ground. I lay there in shock and watched the huge tree branch crash down to the ground, cracking and shattering. It landed a few feet behind me. As I struggled to pull myself up, the sponge container rolled out of my hand. The little creature came spilling out onto the sidewalk. "Saved your life," cried Daniel. "Now you owe me big." I barely heard him. The sponge. I could only stare at the sponge. Breathing louder and faster and deeper than I'd ever heard before. Throbbing its little heart out, practically hopping around on the ground in excitement. Very weird. I'd almost been killed by the falling branch, but the sponge seemed really excited, as if it enjoyed my near accident, as if my accident made it really happy. The sponge is just really into slapstick, but doesn't really understand what slapstick is, and he just really likes seeing people get hurt. You could plant... You know what? Hold on, I retract that. This sponge... You could just set this sponge in front of, like, a marathon of the Jackass movies, and fail TV or like whatever the compilations are of people hurting themselves, and this sponge would just have a ball of a time. The sponge would just be like, "Hey, he got hit in the nuts." "Miss Vanderhoff," I called, rushing into the classroom. "I have to show you something." Miss Vanderhoff is a brain. She's a giant floating brain. She's just a brain. A literal giant brain. She basically knows everything about everything. She's very smart, and she takes us on great class trips. At Halloween, we visited a spooky old theater that's supposed to be haunted by the ghosts of dead actors. Okay, alright, where was this teacher when I was younger? How are you getting away with that? What's the permission slip say? "Oh, we're gonna go to an abandoned theater that's haunted." Sign this off so that your kid can go. But Mrs. Vanderhoff is also really strict. Anyone who goofs off or talks out of turn stays after school for a week. One other problem. She has no sense of humor at all. I've never seen her even crack a smile. Okay, so that confuddles things even more. If she's super strict and she has no sense of humor, why did she do, what was how did she, was she just like, "I'm taking these children to an abandoned theater so that they can come close and experience the feeling of death"? I want these children to know what it feels like to have the realm of death surrounding them. Check this out, Mr. Vanderhoff, I blurted out, shoving the sponge under her nose. I found it under the kitchen sink of our new house, and when Daniel went to grab it, he hit his head, and my dad thought I pushed him, and... Mr. Vanderhoff peered at me over her wire-rimmed glasses. Cat, shush, she ordered sharply. Now start over, slowly and clearly. I took a deep breath and began again, starting with the moving day and ending with the falling tree branch. I like how this kid explains things the same way I explain things, where it's like, no, I can't just get to the point. There's an entire story around this minor thing that I have to talk about. I could tell you what has happened, but I need you to know the entire lead up. I need you to know the story behind what's happening. And you say it throbs and breathes, Miss Vanderhoff asked, staring hard at me. Yes, I exclaimed. Let me see it, Miss Vanderhoff replied. I handed over the container. Hesitantly, she stuck her hand and lifted the sponge out. Oh, wow, I groaned in disappointment. The sponge appeared dry and shriveled. It didn't breathe. It didn't throb. Miss Vanderhoff glared at me. Cat, what's the meaning of this? She huffed. This is an ordinary kitchen sponge. She made a face. A dirty one, I might add. You're wrong, I cried shrilly, desperate for her to believe me. It's much more than a sponge. It's alive. It has eyes, see? You've got to see. Miss Vanderhoff squinted at me, shaking her gray-haired head. Oh, all right, she said with a sigh. She bent her head and examined the sponge closely. She ran her fingers over its wrinkled surface. I don't know what in the world you're talking about, she said angrily, motioning for me to take my seat. This thing doesn't have eyes, and it's not alive. It's a dirty, dried-up old sponge. Miss Vanderhoff glared at me. If this is your idea of a joke, Katrina, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. But I started. Miss Vanderhoff held up her hand. Not another word, she instructed. She handed the sponge back, dropping it into my hand like a piece of junk. My stomach churned with disappointment. Couldn't I say anything else to convince her? The sharp rap of a ruler on her desk interrupted my thoughts. I'm going to pass back the papers from your math test last week, Miss Vanderhoff announced. Everyone groaned. The surprise quiz on a long division has been a major disaster for all of us. I think if anyone asked me to do long division right now, I'd probably, if it was like, you have to do long division or we're going to cut off a foot, I'm just going to be like, well, you know what? You know what? I'll get started. You don't even have to do anything. I'll cut off my own foot. I'm not doing it. Left or right? Probably my left. If I had to like really come down to it. I think I use my right foot more than my left foot. I had way too quick of an answer for that. Settled. Right. Surprise. It's long division. It's been a major disaster for all of us. Settle down, Miss Vanderhoff snapped. She reached into her desk to pull out the test papers and slammed her fingers in the drawer. With a howl of pain, she shrieked, "Oh my fingers! Oh, ow! Ooh, my fingers! Ah, ooh, ee, ooh, ah!" Do long division now or lose a foot, left or right. Oh, that's what you meant. Okay. With a howl of pain, she shrieked, "My fingers! Ow! I think I broke my fingies! I was still standing beside her desk, holding her hand. She turned to me. Help me, Katrina. I've got to get to the nurse's office. What, you need a child to help? Just imagine, like, a grown-ass adult turning to you, a child, and being like, you gotta fucking help me. My fingers are fucking broken. You gotta fucking help me. I opened the classroom door for Miss Vanderhoff. Then I helped her down the hall to the infirmary. What happened, Miss Twitchell, the school nurse? What's happened, Miss Twitchell said, the school nurse, jumping up from her desk and came... Hold on, this line is written a little weird. What's happened? Miss Twitchell, the school nurse, jumped up from her desk and came running up to us. Her starchy white uniform rustled as she moved. She sat as Miss Vanderhoff in a comfortable chair. My fingers, groaned Miss Vanderhoff, holding up her red, swollen hand. I smashed them in the desk drawer. All right, said Miss Twitchell. Miss Twitchell said soothingly. We'll put some ice on that hand, and I'll make sure the principal sends somebody to watch your class. Thank you, Miss Vanderhoff moaned. I like how the teacher is like, Like, I hurt my hand. I smashed my hand. Help me at the nurse's office. I smashed my hand. Give me some ice. Oh, my fucking hand. I hurt my fucking hand. And we just got the kid right next to her. Like, okay, I'm sorry. All right. Thank you, Miss Vanderhoff moaned. Katrina, you can go back to class now. You've been very helpful. Helpful? Everywhere I went these days, I told myself somebody seems to get badly hurt. Unhappily, I shuffled my way back towards classroom 6B. Cat! Cat! I heard someone shouting my name. Daniel raced out of the library, nearly tripping over his untied shoelaces. He crashed right into me. I found it, he cried breathlessly. I found the sponge creature, in a book. I know what it is. Bum bum bum. Chapter 9. I grabbed Daniel by the front of his shirt. What is it? What? I demanded. I have to know. Whoa, take it easy. Cool your jets. Daniel pushed my hands off his shirt. I'll show you, he promised. I have a picture in here. In where? I asked. Daniel gazed around the hall. No one in sight. He pulled a book out from under his shirt and handed it to me, a big black volume. I glanced quickly at the title. Encyclopedia of the Weird. Is your picture in here? I teased. Oh shit. Haha, very funny, he replied. He grabbed the book away from me. Do you want to see your sponge? Definitely. Daniel flipped through the pages quickly, muttering to himself. Greebles, griffins, groks. Here it is. He shoved the book under my nose. It smelled funny, sort of musty. I guessed it had been sitting on the library shelf for a long, long time. Daniel pointed to a drawing on page 89. I lowered my eyes to the page. Wrinkly skin, tiny black eyes. It does look like the sponge, I gasped. I began reading the story underneath the drawing. This is a gruel. Grool. A gruel, I thought. What in the world is that? I returned to the book. The gruel is an ancient and mythical creature. Mythical, I cried. That means it's not real, that it's made up. But it is real. Astute observation. The gruel does not eat food or drink water. Instead, it gets its strength from luck. Bad luck. Daniel, I stammered, this is weird. Really weird. He nodded, his eyes wide. The gruel has always been known as a bad luck charm. It feeds on the bad luck of other people. The gruel becomes stronger each time something bad happens around it. This book is crazy, I muttered. I eagerly read. This book is crazy, I said as I kept on reading and believing every single word. Bad luck for the gruel owner never ends. The gruel cannot be killed by force or by any violent means, and it cannot ever be given away or tossed aside. Why not, I wondered. The next lines gave me my answer. A gruel is only passed on to a new owner when an owner dies. Anyone who gives the gruel away will die within 1 day. I love how the thought process here was like, here's a creature that feeds on bad luck, which I have to admit, it's not quite what I expected from the evil sponge. I like how someone had to go, I mean, I guess the author had to go, okay, evil sponge that causes bad luck. Okay, what stops you from getting rid of it? You can't. Why can't you kill it? You can't. If you try to give it away, you die. Like, it's like, I guess it kind of makes sense for like a kid's book though, because like how much reasoning could you really get into? But I find it really funny that it's just like, nope, you can't get rid of it, you can't kill it, you can't do anything with it, or you die. you just eat shit and die. This is so stupid, I exclaimed. Stupid. Turning to Daniel, I said in a low voice, "There is no such thing as a creature that lives on bad luck." "How do you know, genius?" Daniel demanded. "Everything needs food and water," I replied. "Everything that's alive, anyway." "Not true. Ha 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 ha." Well, probably not true. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. There's something out there that probably doesn't really need food or water. Actually, now, hold on a second. I want to look something up. If I look up gruel, is that a thing? Can I find a gruel? What's a gruel look like? Wow, it apparently looks like a white woman in a t-shirt. Oh my god, the gruel! It's making a duck face. Whoops. Oh, is all of this just going to be it's like a fucking potato with a mouth. Oh, I should have done this a little while ago. To just Google what the sponge looks like in the Goosebumps episode. Snarling, kitty screaming. Oh my god. I'm an evil sponge. So, okay, so did it just originate? Okay, so it originated from this. Okay. So Mr. R.L. Stine made up this particular creature. Which, hey, I'll give him some credit. Uh, bu- 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 bu. I don't know, Daniel said. I think the book could be right. The drawing of a creature on another page caught my eye. Hey, what's this? I asked. It looked like a potato, oval and brown, but it had a mouthful of sharp, pointy teeth. I quickly read the description. The lynx is a cousin of the gruel, but it is much more dangerous. Okay, so there was even the potato we were looking at. It was indeed a potato with teeth. Once a lynx latches onto someone, it never lets go until it has drained every drop of energy from that person. I slammed the encyclopedia shut. Here, Daniel, take this dumb book. I shoved the Encyclopedia of the Weird back into my brother's arms. This stuff is totally crazy. I don't believe any of it. But I thought you wanted to know more about the sponge, Daniel said. I do, but not this made-up stuff, I told him. I knew I was acting sort of rotten to Dan. I told him, but not this made-up stuff, I told him. I knew I was acting sort of rotten to Daniel, and that he only wanted to help. But give me a break. After all that's been happening, I was a little stressed out. I mean, it had been a bad couple of days with Dad falling off the ladder and Miss Vanderhoff slamming her hand in the desk, and me nearly being crushed by a tree branch. I stomped down the hall back to class. Stupid book, I muttered to myself. But another thought kept forcing its way into my mind. What if the book is right? I stared at the gruel, still sitting in its container on the corner of Miss Vanderhoff's desk. I walked up to it. It was wet again, and breathing. Its cold, black eyes stared back. I felt a chill of fear and prickling all over my skin. Mythical creatures don't exist, I whispered to the creature. I'm not going to believe that book, I'm not. I'm not going to believe it, I'm not. The sponge stared up at me, breathing softly. I picked up the container and shook it angrily. What are you? I cried. What? What are you? What are you? Ah! Daniel told Carla the whole story on the walk home. I walked behind them, trying to think about something else, anything else. It's called a gruel, and it's a bad luck charm, Daniel explained excitedly. Right, Kat? I think you're the bad luck charm, I snapped. And I don't think that book makes any sense. Oh yeah, he cried. He grabbed my backpack. You don't need these, do you? He teased. You're so smart, you know more than the encyclopedia. Dancing down the street with my books, Daniel turned into Maple Lane. Hey, Mom's outside, he cried, surprised. I started to run. Carlo and I hurried to catch up with Daniel. Mom stood at the door waiting for us. Her face wore a tense, worried expression. Hi, kids. Come on inside, she said. Daniel, Carlo, and I followed Mom into the kitchen. I'm afraid I have some very bad news, she began sadly. Your father fucking died. Your dad's fucking dead. Chapter 10. Killer is gone, Mom announced. She bit her lower lip. Oh, the dog's... Okay, it's a dog. It's fucking dead. Oh, no, not Killer. Killer is gone, Mom announced. She bit her lower lip. Gone? Daniel and I shrieked at once. He ran away, Mom explained. I can't find him anywhere. He must have slipped out when I went to put some things in the garage. But, Mom, I protested, Killer never runs away. Killer never runs away. He's never done it before. Kat is right, Daniel agreed. He's not brave enough to run away. Don't worry, Mom said. I'm sure we'll find him. I've called the police and they're out searching for him right now. That's that's the most fucking lie-ass lie I have ever heard. Honey, I'm sorry. The dog ran away, but don't worry. I called the police, and the police are looking for our dog. No, they're not. They're not. Don't fucking lie to me. Who's texting me? I keep getting all these political texts now. Blah, 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 endorsed blah, 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 an unrestricted abortion. Now he wants to be your attorney general. Don't vote for a radical liberal. How about you suck my radical nuts? How about that? How about you fucking get down on one knee and just suck my fucking radical dong from the back, you fucking vulture. Anyway, sorry, being very aggressive to my phone. I'll find Killer, Daniel cried. Bet I can find him before the police does. Come on, Carlo. Daniel grabbed a handful of doggy treats and ran out. Carlo followed close behind. The door slammed shut behind them. Poor Killer, I thought, out there somewhere alone. Probably lost. Bet he's scared. Our new house is so close to the highway, to all those speeding cars. What would happen to my little dog? I suddenly felt like crying. I grabbed the sponge in its container and ran up the stairs. This is all your fault, isn't it? I accused the creature. I bet you are a gruel after all. As I talked, the gruel pulsed. It shook so hard I expected it to throb right out of the container. Boom, 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 boom. And it breathed fast and deep. I yanked the gruel out. We've had enough bad luck, I wailed. Maybe this'll stop you. I hurled the horrible thing as hard as I could against the wall. The gruel hit the wall with a sickening splat, and I let out a shrill cry of pain. Could you, just sit this sponge in front of, something so cringy that it just wants to leave? Sure, it feeds on bad luck, but if you just, sat it down in front of, Baby Shark for, 72 hours straight, would it eventually, just shrivel up and die on its own? Would it just could you annoy this thing enough for it to just leave you alone? So, okay, this is completely unrelated to anything. The outfit that I am wearing right now, I keep touching it and my fingers are turning black. What is with this? Why is this turning my fingers black? This is weird. Why are my nails black? Well, anyway, not important. Keep getting very easily distracted on this stream. I glanced down and I saw red blood, flowing over my left hand. As I threw the gruel, I slammed the hand down on my desk, onto a sharp point of a pair of scissors. Oh, I moaned, checking out my hand. A deep, nasty... I touched the scissors and I got a deep, nasty cut. I wrapped some tissues around the cut to slow the bleeding. Then I spotted the gruel down on the floor. Dead, I hoped. I bent down. Gross, I yelped. The gruel was breathing and throbbing, faster and harder than before. I leaned in closer. Hey, what's that? I murmured. I guess you'd call the noise a laugh, a dry, cruel snicker that sounded more like a cough. Then I listened to that evil laugh. The gruel began changing. Its color suddenly brightened, from dull brown to light pink. As I stared in amazement, the gruel turned bright tomato red as the blood on the cut on my hand. My hand! Yuck! Blood seeped through the tissues and dripped slowly onto the floor. I needed help with this. Mom's help. Meh! Mom, I called, leaping up. I need a Band-Aid, a big one. As I hurried down the hall, a jumble of questions ran through my mind. Why did the gruel change color, I wondered? And that laugh, I'd never heard it before. What did it mean? Was it really laughing? Did I hurt the gruel when I threw it against the bedroom wall? Or is the gruel just a masochist and it was like, hurt me more? Yeah, pick me up, throw me again. So many frightening questions. Oh, jeez. Oh, I just saw a shadow on the wall from, like, appear behind me, and I was like, whew! And I'm like, oh. It's just the boy. It's just my man. How's your mouth? Your mouth hurts? You okay, Bubby? You alright? They took one of your bones from your mouth. So, like I said, I got you chocolate milk. I got you chocolate syrup and milk. I got you yogurts. I got you mashed potatoes. I got you the broth. It's just regular ass chicken broth if you want to sip on it. Milk. Chalky milk. He's making chalky milk. Chalky milk. Chalky milk. Let me know if you need anything, okay? Okay. You sound a little better. You don't sound like you're talking like this anymore.
Would you like to tell Chad how the first thing you said was making fun of me?
Yeah, absolutely. When I picked him up from the orthopedic surgeon, orthodontal surgeon. When I picked him up from the orthodontal surgeon, I was like, hey, say suffer and succotash, and he's like, suffer and succotash. I'm like, did they take a tooth from your mouth? And then everyone in the waiting room, I think, kind of looked at me like I was an asshole.
Because you are, but I love you.
True, it's probably because I am an asshole. At least to some degree. A lovable one. Ugh. Ugh. Anyway. Suffer and succotash. Alright, where were we? I listened at the door, cupping my hand around my ear. Voices inside my room. Who's there? I called out shakily. The door flew open. It's the ghost of the gruel, Daniel whispered in a spooky voice. Ooh, 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 ooh. Daniel and Carlos stood over the gerbil cage, giggling. Oh, I'm so scared, I sneered. Did you find Killer? No, Daniel replied sadly. Carlo and I searched all over the neighborhood. Mom says the police will find him. The mom deserves an award for saying that with a straight face. Don't worry, honey. The police will find our dog. I turned my eyes to the gerbil cage. How did the gruel get back in there? I found it on the floor, so I stuck it back in the cage, Daniel replied. How did it get out? Beats me, I shrugged. I didn't feel like explaining. Carlo, who'd been studying the gruel closely, stared at me. Hey, what happened to your hand? He asked, pointing to my bandage. I didn't want to tell them. Oh, nothing, I replied. Just a little cut. Why are you guys standing there staring at the gruel? Carlo still wants to borrow it, Daniel explained, tapping the side of the cage to get the creature's attention. I told him no. Carlo turned to me. Please, he begged. I promise, I'll be careful. Please, 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 please. That stupid gruel. Oh, take it and keep it, I snapped. Excellent! Carlo's eyes lit up, and he reached eagerly into the plastic cage to grab his prize. Wait, Daniel cried, grabbing Carlo's arm to stop him. Cat, remember what Encyclopedia of the Weird said? Daniel began reciting the gruel entry from memory, staring at me all the while. You can't give a gruel away. Anyone who gives the gruel away will die within 1 day. A feeling of dread grew in my stomach, but I couldn't believe that stupid book, could I? Did the encyclopedia say that gruels laugh or change color? No. Carlo and Daniel stared at me, waiting for my decision. Should I give the sponge creature to Carlo? I studied the gruel. Don't do it, Cat, Daniel urged. Please don't give it away. It's too dangerous. I knew only one thing. I wanted to get the gruel away from me as quickly as I could, and if Carlo wanted it so badly, I decided let him have it. Go ahead, Carlo, I said. Take the gross, disgusting thing. Daniel grabbed the gruel out of the cage and held it tightly. No, he cried. Carlo is not taking it. I don't care what you say. I won't let him take it. Now who's the scaredy cat, I asked, giving Daniel a poke in the arm. I'm trying to save you, Daniel exclaimed. Don't you understand? Poor Daniel. He seemed so serious, so frightened. I decided to give him a break. Well, okay, Carlo, I guess you better not take the gruel, I announced. Daniel heaved a sigh of relief. Carlo frowned. Okay, bye, I'm out of here. Alright, I'm out of here. I'll go with you, Daniel said, tossing the gruel back in the cage. Come on, let's ride our bikes to the park. Maybe Killer's there. As he hurried out of the bedroom, Daniel turned and gave me a thumbs up. After the boys left, I collapsed onto the bed. What's going to happen next, I wondered. I lifted my eyes to the plastic cage and glared at the ghoul. I felt a deep hatred for the little creature. If one more bad thing happens around here, I'll bury you, I promised it. I'll bury you so far in the ground that no one will ever see or hear from you again, ever. It was a promise I would soon have to keep. Chapter 12. Unfashionably late arrival. It's fine. Don't worry about it. To be fair, as far as we've gotten in this story, it's exactly what you already know it is. It's an evil sponge. The only thing that caught me by surprise, it's an evil sponge that feeds on bad luck. That's literally all you need to know in order to be caught up on this. The next morning, I woke up with a jolt. Toot toot. Toot toot. Daniel stood at the foot of my bed, blowing away on a party horn. Time to get up, cat, he squealed. I reached out to grab the noisy horn away. Quit it, you loser, I grumbled. Then I remembered. My birthday! Finally, something to celebrate. I jumped out of bed. Time to get ready to go to Wonder Park. I planned to be on the Seattle log flume and the wild wave slide all day long. Running to the window, I peeked out through the glass. No, I cried in disappointment. No! Attack of the Crawling Spleen. I feel like that's from something. I feel like that's from a cartoon. Attack of the Crawling Spleen. I know this. Hold on. That's from something, isn't it? Yeah, it was an Angry Beavers thing. That was going to be my guess. Oh, gee. Oh, my God. I don't know what's going on over here. Someone's fan art got really messy. Anyway. I think I might have been in the way for that, but whatever. But yeah, I was like, that's an Angry Beavers bit. That's a deep cut, Machine Elves. That was a very deep choice. Anyway. No, it can't be. Rain poured down. Lightning crackled through the sky. Thunder boomed so loud I felt the house shake. How could we go to Wonder Park in this mess? Cat, Mom called from downstairs. Breakfast. I threw on my purple and pink striped leggings and a purple t-shirt and ran to the kitchen. I had to make sure I was effectively 90s as hell. Angry Beavers enjoyers rise up. On my birthday, Mom always makes my favorite. Waffles with strawberries and powdered sugar. Here's the birthday girl. Happy birthday, honey. Mom beamed, giving me a big hug. I'm dressed for my party, I said hopefully, as I sat down at the table. Oh, honey, I'm afraid we're going to have to cancel your party, Mom said sadly. We certainly can't go to Wonder Park in this storm. Cancel? I poked unhappily at my waffles. Can't we have the party here, indoors? I pleaded. We'll order pizza and play computer games in the den. You know that we can't do that, Mom said. The painters will be here all day in the living room and dining room. With all those ladders and buckets of paint, I can't have your friends running around. What rotten luck. But, Mom, it's my birthday, I protested, throwing down my fork. And you promised I could have a party. You promised. Mom, you promised. You fucking promised me. You promised to have a fucking party. I want my fucking birthday party. You want to have a fucking party. Another day wouldn't be my birthday. Oh, wait, no, I know how disappointed you are, Kat. We'll have to have your party another day. Maybe next weekend. Another day wouldn't be my birthday. Everything's going wrong, I cried, ever since we moved. I hated this new house. I even hated my birthday. Most of all, I hated the gruel. Leaving my waffles on the plate, I ran up to my room. I snatched the gruel out of its cage and shook it as hard as I could. I warned you, I threatened. You ruined my birthday. Now you'll pay. The gruel throbbed happily. Please never describe anything throbbing happily. The gruel throbbed happily in my hand, and I hurled it back into the gerbil cage. I hate you. I hate you, I shrieked. I really hate you, you and your bad luck. Hold on a second. Hold on. Can I find, like... Yeah, here we go. Just, I hate you! The gruel oh yeah, it's, plopping down at my desk, I decided I had to take action. Strong action. No birthday party, no more gruel. I'm keeping my promise, I told the creature. I pulled out a notebook from my desk drawer and began to make some plans to get rid of it. Why do you need to make plans? I hate you! But yeah, why do you really need, like, a game plan for this? Do you really need to write it down? Daniel, it's not raining anymore, I whispered to my brother. Come on, it's time. The gruel vibrated in its plastic container. Boom, boom, boom. Daniel glanced up from his computer screen. Now? He asked. Give me a break, Cat. I'm on level 10. I need to slay only one more troll before I can open the treasure chest. This is important. Really important, I insisted. Daniel sighed. Do you think you should do it? You know what the book said. I've got to, I cried. Remember, it's the gruel's fault the killer ran away. Daniel was definitely nervous and scared, but he obediently hit the save button on Troll Terror and followed me outside to the backyard. That was some TV video game ass words. It sure was. I have to beat the troll so that I can get the treasure. Oh, fine. And then he finally paused Troll Terror and followed me outside to the backyard. It had rained all day, but now a few stars shone high above us in the charcoal night sky. Here, you hold the gruel, I whispered. I shoved the creature into his trembling hands. I skipped over to the garage, feeling happy for the first time in days. I'm getting rid of the gruel. I'm getting rid of the gruel. I'm getting rid of the gruel. I sang to myself. Grabbing the biggest shovel I could find, I made my way back to Daniel. Then I started to dig. This had to be a serious hole. A deep hole. This had to be the king of all holes. But digging in the damp ground was hard work. Sweat rolled down my back and forehead. I didn't feel scared at all. I had to do something to make life normal again. I had to stop all the bad luck. And if it meant burying a living sponge, fine. As long as I never had to see that stupid snickering creature again. I peered down into the hole. It seemed pretty deep, about as long as my arm. It was a pretty deep hole. It was one hell of a hole. I'm finished, I told my brother. Pass me the gruel. Daniel silently handed the sponge to me. As I held it over the deep hole, the sponge didn't throb. It didn't breathe. It didn't even feel warm. It felt dry and dead like any ordinary kitchen sponge. But I knew better. I dropped the gruel into the hole and watched happily as it tumbled down the steep dirt sides to the bottom. Picking up the shovel again, I began throwing dirt onto the creature, heap after heap. Dig, throw, dig, throw, dig and throw, dig and throw, dig and throw, dig and throw, dig that dirt, throw that dirt, dig the dirt, throw that dirt, dig and throw, dig and throw, dig and throw. Dig and throw, dig and throw, dig and throw, dig and throw. Anyway. That was a good bit. Everybody laughed. Finally, the hole was filled up. I used the back of the shovel to smooth the dirt flat. There, I said. No one but us will know that the gruel is buried here. I lowered my eyes to the soft, wet dirt. Bye-bye, bye-bye, gruel. Bye-bye, gruel, I called out happily. Daniel, I think our luck is going to change now. Daniel didn't reply. I spun around. Daniel? Daniel, where are you? My brother had disappeared. I need some water. Yum, 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 yum. 13. Chapter 13. What had I done? I dropped the shovel in a panic. Daniel, I shrieked. Where are you? Had I made my brother disappear? Did burying the gruel somehow make Daniel vanish into thin air? Daniel? Daniel, I called in a trembling voice. I heard a soft rustling coming from behind the garage. I crept quietly towards it. Daniel, I whispered, is that you? No reply. I peeked behind the garage. Daniel sat with his arms locked around his knees, safe and sound. Daniel, I cried. I felt so relieved that I pinched him. Cut it out, he snapped. He leaped to his feet. What are you doing back here? I was so worried. I thought the gruel got you. Daniel didn't reply. He lowered his eyes to the ground. Why did you hide? I demanded. I was scared, he murmured. I thought the gruel might explode or fight back or something. You were scared, I asked. Why didn't you at least answer me when I called you? I thought maybe the gruel was chasing you, he confessed, his face turning red. Daniel, don't worry, I said. The poor guy was really frightened and embarrassed that he hid. I put both hands on his shoulders. The gruel is gone. It's buried deep in the ground. He swallowed hard. But what if it comes back? What if what the book said comes true? We'll never see the gruel again, I said quietly. And don't forget, the book said gruels don't really exist. It's all made up, just a myth, fairy tale. Daniel sighed. I hate to admit it, but you're right, Cat, he said. At least this time. This time, I shot back. How about all the time? I slugged Daniel on the arm. Oh, that hurts so much I think I'm going to pass out, Daniel cried sarcastically. He fell onto the wet lawn and pretended to faint. Come on, let's go in, I urged. You're getting soaked, and I'm covered with dirt. Daniel scrambled up and elbowed me aside. Race you, he cried, running towards the house. Hey, can I ask y'all something? Am I the only one who gets, like, a weird desire to just want to, like, go outside and dig a hole for no reason? Is that just me? Am I the only one who wants to do that? Not for any purpose. I don't want to build anything. I don't want to, like, plant anything. I just want to dig a hole. I just want to get a shovel and I just want to dig a big hole. That's it. And then maybe even, like, fill the hole back in. That's a man urge. It's a common burrowing instinct. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I just want to dig a hole. I just want to get a shovel and dig a hole. Man, it is raining outside. It is pissing rain. Hold on a second, chat. Don't go anywhere. Our air's the hole that the air conditioning air comes out of. It sometimes leaks when it rains. Nobody go anywhere. Nobody go anywhere. I'll be right back. Nobody leave. Okay, I'm back. Like I said, the air conditioning unit, for some reason when it rains, sometimes it, like, leaks from the ceiling. And I needed to go put a bowl underneath the AC. Just in case. Okay, anyway. I leaped up the steps and beat into the house by about a second. I slammed the screen door and it held it closed so Daniel couldn't open it. I won, I shouted. Only because I let you, Daniel cried. He banged on the door. Do you want to get in here, I asked. Daniel nodded. Then say, Cat beat me fair and square, I commanded. No way, he replied. Stay out there all night, then. With the gruel, I told him. I let out a ghostly howl. Okay, Cat beat me fair and square, Daniel grumbled, but I'll win next time. Actually, I didn't really care about the race. I felt so glad that I buried the gruel. I would have let Daniel win 10 races. As we burst into the living room, Mom and Dad raised their eyes from their newspapers. The house smelled of fresh paint. Where were you, Dad asked. Oh, just fooling around in the yard, I replied. Is everything all right? Mom asked with concern. You're filthy. Everything is fine, I answered. Now. Okay, go and wash up, Mom ordered. Then come to the kitchen. Daniel and I crowded into the bathroom, leaned over the sink, pushing and bumping into each other, and cleaned ourselves up. Do you know what time it is? Mom asked as I raced back to the kitchen. Yes, I shouted happily. It's time for my birthday cake. Mom beamed. Well, sit right down here. I dropped excitedly into the chair she offered. Finally, I thought, things were going right again. Daniel perched on the chair next to mine. He grabbed my arm. Something bad is going to happen, he whispered. I know it. I just know it. I'm not going to let anything wreck tonight, I thought. Don't be such a wimp, I whispered. Everything's fine. At the kitchen counter, Mom hovered over the cake. She touched a match to each of the 13 candles, one for each year and one extra for luck. What an... Oh my god, that's 13 candles! Oh my god! That would be so confusing if they took pictures and they put it in like an album or something, and then later on it's like, oh, this was the 13th birthday because there's 13 candles, and they're like, no, that extra candle is just for luck. What an awesome cake! Mom had ordered it from the bakery down the street. It had all my favorites: pink frosting roses, chocolate icing, and a layer of strawberries. A tiny chocolate Ferris wheel sat on top. Ready, Cat? Mom asked. She carried the cake to the table. Her face glowed happily in the candlelight. Dad flashed me a big grin. They all began to sing happy birthday. I saw Daniel watching me closely as he sang. They finished the song. I shut my eyes and made my wishes. I wish Killer would come home, I said to myself, and I wish the gruel would never return, and that Daniel is wrong, that nothing bad will happen. I leaned forward, closer to the candles, and blew hard. Pop! A loud noise from the kitchen nearly made me fall into my cake. A chocolate Ferris wheel. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like, what? Did you get fucking chocolate guy for that? How do you get a chocolate Ferris wheel? And how do you eat it? Can you just... Is it... Or was it like a design on top? Like a chocolate... Like someone drew a chocolate Ferris wheel? Or was it a Ferris wheel made of chocolate? And could you eat it? Chapter 14. Boy, that cork was loud, chirped Mom. She sat down to tray glasses and a large green bottle. It's your favorite. Sparkling apple cider, she announced. I know it's not as good as a day at Wonder Park. Oh, Mom, I gasped. Oh, Mom, I gasped, my heart still pounding. It's great. Everything is going to be great. An excellent birthday. A cake, sparkling cider, and presents, 2 new video games, a Discman and some CDs, a purple backpack, and a sweatshirt in pink and purple, my favorite colors. That night before bed, I stuffed my schoolbooks into my new backpack and stared at the gerbil cage, empty and clean, as if the gruel had never existed. I got rid of the disgusting creature, I thought happily. I really did. My family will finally be safe from bad luck. The clock in the hall room chimed 10. Time for bed. I climbed into my nightshirt and dove under the covers. When my alarm rang the next morning, I bounced out of bed and ran to the window to check the weather. Oh no! I uttered a low moan of horror. The backyard, it looked like a desert. Overnight, the grass had all burned brown. All the pink begonias dropped to the ground, dead and brown. Dad's red roses had shriveled and turned black. Poor Dad, I thought. He worked so hard to make the yard beautiful, and now... As I stared at the ugly dead yard, I tried to force the thought from my mind, but deep down inside, I knew exactly how it all happened. The gruel! From its grave, the gruel had turned its evil powers on the lawn, and it killed every single living plant, flower, and blade of grass. What should I do, I wondered, staring out at the burned, dried-out, dead yard. I like how they said dead twice. It's a dead yard. Should I remove the gruel from the ground? Did I have a choice? Not really. I quickly pulled out my new sweatshirt and a pair of jeans. Then I crept downstairs. I sneaked out to the spot where I had buried the gruel, and I began to dig. Brown, dry leaves rained down on my head. My shoulder ached from lifting the damp, heavy dirt. My stomach didn't feel too great either. Dig, toss, dig, toss, dig and toss, dig and toss, dig and toss. We're doing it again. We're doing it again. Dig and toss, dig and toss, dig and toss. Actually, we're not going to do that again. Never mind. I want to be able to get through this. I want to get through this fucking book within the stream time. By the way, considering that it is raining and kind of stormy out, if the stream suddenly eats a fat dookie, you know why. I lost my place. The more I dug, the worse I felt. I wanted to throw the shovel down and run from the spot, to leave the terrible creature buried for good, but I had to face the truth. If I left the gruel buried, it would keep on punishing me. It would punish my whole family. I dug to the bottom of the hole, then I bent down and pushed the dirt away with both hands. Slowly, before my frightened eyes, the gruel throbbed into view, more alive and excited than ever. I should smash you with this shovel, I yelled at it. The gruel vibrated crazily, almost as if what I said made it happy. Boom, 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 boom. I could hear it breathe. And then once again, and then once again. This is a very beatboxy stream today. And then once again, it turned from brown to pink to tomato red, and it kept changing color as it breathed. Brown, pink, red. Brown, pink, red. Brown, pink, red. It's one of those days you wake up and you're brown, pink, red. Anyway, sorry. Just one of those days. I grabbed the gruel from its... It's one of those days you grab the gruel from the grave. It pulled so hard that it throbbed right out of my hand and fell to the ground. Stay still, I shrieked, snatching it up. The gruel stared at me. Its tiny round eyes glowed red with evil. With evil? I shivered. I gritted my teeth and shoved the gruel into the pocket of my new sweatshirt. I trudged back to the house through the kitchen door and into the hall that led to the stairs. At the bottom of the stairs, I heard a noise. It came from Mom and Dad's bedroom. They're awake, I thought. I have to hurry before they see me and ask questions. That's all I need. I leaped up the stairs, taking them two at a time. Whomp! I slipped and landed hard on my right knee. Bah! Ouch! I shrieked. I felt the gruel shake in my pocket. I heard its ugly, soft snicker. It was laughing at me. I jerked it out of my pocket and squeezed it so hard that my fingers hurt. Then I ran into my room and I threw the gruel into the gerbil cage. I'll find a way to destroy you, I promised. I rubbed my aching knee and glared at the little beast. Before you can bring us any more bad luck, I will destroy you! I will see you unmade! I cried. But how, I wondered. How? Kids, Aunt Louise is coming... Oh, chapter 15, by the way. Kids, Aunt Louise is coming tomorrow, Mom told Daniel and me the next morning, so I want you both to clean up your rooms after school today. Aunt Louise is coming, I asked. Great. Aunt Louise is my favorite aunt. Even though she's a grown-up, she's completely cool. She wears long, flowery dresses and drives a bright yellow convertible. My Aunt Louise is a spinster. And Aunt Louise blows the biggest bubblegum bubbles, and she knows a lot of really funny jokes. Mom says Aunt Louise has her head in the clouds. I guess that means she has a wild imagination. I don't know about that, but I know that she does know a lot of things about, like, astrology and tarot cards, because of course she does. And maybe even gruels. That night, I cleaned my room, and before I went to bed, I said a special goodnight to the gruel. My aunt is coming tomorrow. She's going to help me get rid of you forever, I whispered. It stared up at me, breathing softly. After school the next afternoon, Daniel and I turned the corner onto our block, and we saw Aunt Louise's yellow convertible in the driveway, where we ran the rest of the way home. Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? Aunt Louise called as we burst into the house. A floppy yellow straw hat covered her black, curly hair. Before Daniel could get to her, I threw my arms around Aunt Louise and whispered in her ear, Come upstairs with me. Come upstairs with me. Now, it's super important. Get your ass up there. My aunt pulled off her hat and set it on my head. She admired me in the hat. Super important, she asked. Yes, I whispered, grabbing her hand and tugging her towards the stairs. Have you ever heard of a gruel? I asked. A gruel? Huh. I'll have to think about that one for a minute, she replied thoughtfully. No, I don't think so. What is a gruel? Well, I explained, Daniel found a picture in an encyclopedia, and the book said it was an ancient mythical creature. Well, if it's mythical, honey, that means it doesn't exist, Aunt Louise interrupted. But it's not mythical, I cried impatiently. I should know because I have one, and it causes trouble, lots of trouble. Aunt Louise followed me to my room. Have you ever heard of a lynx? I asked. She shook her head. That's another creature in the encyclopedia. It looks like a potato, but it has a mouth full of sharp teeth. Good heavens, it sounds disgusting, Aunt Louise exclaimed. But tell me about this gruel. What does it look like? Here, I'll show you, I said. I pulled her into my room. I pointed at the gerbil cage. The gruel squatted in the corner. Aunt Louise walked to the cage. So you're a gruel, she said, leaning down. She reached over to pick it up. Wait, I cried. Maybe you shouldn't touch it. But I was too late. It throbbed into view. Yes. This creature really likes to throb into view. Before I even continue this chapter, we know what's going to happen, right? It's going to be like dried out nothing. And she's going to be like, oh, it just looks like a regular fucking sponge. You're stupid. Chapter 16. Aunt Louise picked up the gruel and placed it in the palm of her hand. She studied it for a long while. Then she turned to me. Cat, it's only dried up sponge. What's the big idea? But, I sputtered. Oh, I get it, she laughed. You really had me fooled. I thought you were serious. She tossed the gruel to me. I tried to catch it, but I didn't want to touch it. It plopped to the floor. Pretty funny, kid. She chuckled as she turned to leave. You have a great imagination, just like your aunt. I picked up the gruel and examined it closely. Not warm, not breathing, not moving at all. Dry and hard. An ordinary sponge. Aunt Louise thought I was joking, but the joke was on me. The gruel had tricked me again. I like how the gruel is just like Gruel around children, squishy and nasty and will fully reveal itself. Gruel around adults, it's somehow smart enough to know that it can just fuck around with kids. And with adults, it's just like, nah. I ain't fucking with that. I feel like if an adult finds one of these things, it's just gonna be like, yeah, alright. Adult would be like, an adult would be like, I already have bills. I already have bills to pay, and I live in a country without good health care. I already have bad luck. You can't do it any worse. I hurled the creature back into the gerbil cage. By the way, I really love picture. Whenever it says she hurls the gruel back into the cage, I really love imagining her doing like a whole baseball pitch wind up and just fucking throwing it in there at Mach 3. Just like, before my amazed eyes, the dry brown sponge began plumping up. In a few seconds, it became fuller and moister. Yuck, I groaned, watching it turn pink and then red. The gruel huffed and puffed. I was picturing a whirlwind dunk. Those little black eyes peered out at me excitedly. The gruel snickered softly. Why was it so pleased with itself, I wondered. Nothing horrible had happened. Or had it? I thought of Dad's fall off the ladder, the tree branch, Miss Vanderhoff's fingers, Killer running away, my spoiled birthday party, our dry, rotted backyard. It was all too much, too much. With a desperate cry, I yanked the evil thing out of its cage, and then I slammed it hard down on my desk. Breathing hard, my heart pounding, I grabbed out one of my heaviest textbooks, and I slammed it down onto the gruel. Die, I shouted. Please die. Die. Yes, let the hate flow through you. Use the power of the dark side. Use the... Kill the gruel. Let the anger power you. I raised the book high, pounded the gruel with it. Again. I pounded hard enough to kill anything. Finally, I stopped, gasping for breath, my arms aching. I stared down at what I'd done. Yuck, what a mess. Brown and pink shreds of gruel littered my desk. I had smashed it to pieces. Yes, I cried breathlessly. Yes. Finally, I had destroyed the evil creature. Yes, I cried again. Yes! Yes! I'd play the M. Bison yes clip again, but we already did that for like the first or second. I can't keep pulling that up for every Goosebumps stream. But the cry stuck in my throat, and the pink and brown shreds started to move. I stared down in horror and began to shake all over. Chapter 17. This can't be happening, I whispered, but it was. The pieces, the shreds of the gruel, they were sliding across the desktop, slithering, rolling together, coming back together, forming a brown ball, a sponge. It didn't take long, a minute at the most, and now the gruel stared up at me again, and it vibrated so hard that my desk actually began to rock. Its cruel snicker cut through my shocked silence. Shut up, I screamed, but it snickered even louder. Frantic, I grabbed a dirty sock from the clothes hamper. I used it to pick up the gruel, and then I hurled the thing back into the cage. Another whirlwind dunk. Slap that fucker back in the cage. With a cry, I threw my face down onto my bed and covered my ears. Will I have this bad luck for the rest of my life? Is there anything I can do? I was so frightened, so angry, so confused. I couldn't even pretend to be my usual cheery self. And when Aunt Louise took me and Daniel out to the ice cream parlor, I couldn't even finish the small butterscotch sundae. Usually I'm good for a triple-decker. But how could I ever be happy again? I was stuck with the gruel. Forever. Okay, you were stuck with the gruel forever, but you still got a butterscotch sundae. Nothing happened to the butterscotch. I'm just saying. There's still good things that happen. The gruel... I think the gruel probably... Like, we need to... This girl's going about this all the wrong way. She needs to kind of go through some scientific method shit and, like, try to do some tests. Like, is there, like, a range of bad luck that this thing has? Can it only cause bad luck, like, once every, like, period of time? Because it seems like they're going, like, pretty long stretches of time without this thing causing any damage. So, like, none of them can end well. I saw gremlins. Oh, yeah, fair point. Never mind. Don't science anything. You end up with gremlins. Wake up, cat, wake up, a frantic voice whispered in my ear. I slowly raised my pillow. I raised my pillow off my pillow. I raised my head off the pillow. Huh? Daniel was waving his book bag back and forth about an inch above my head. Get that away, I shouted, grabbing for it. Hey, I'm only trying to help you, he replied, snatching the pack away. You're going to be late for school. You better get moving. He ran out of the room. I tore the covers off and raced to the closet. I slipped on my Save the Earth That's some of those, like, 90s outfit ever. I tore the covers off. I put on my Save the Earth sweatshirt and purple flowered leggings. Then I remembered. Daniel, you little dweeb, I bellowed. We have no school today, the teacher's conference. He peeked back into my room. Got you, he gloated. I hurled a pillow at his head and hit him in the face. Nice shot. You're a bad sport, he said, laughing. Carlo's coming over for breakfast. We can play Mega Monster Warriors. I want to believe... Well, because, like, when was this published? I don't think Dynasty Warriors existed at this point in time. 1995. No, okay. I want to believe that Mega Monster Warriors is, like, another, like, Warriors-style, like, Muso game. But it's probably just going to be something more like Mega Man. I slammed the door in his face. Daniel's stupid tricks usually don't bother me too much. And a day off from school always puts me in a great mood. But how can I enjoy myself? I just kept wondering what bad thing was going to happen next. What bad luck would the evil Gruul bring today? After breakfast, I hung around on the back porch reading a magazine, and trying to ignore Daniel and Carlo's shrieks and wild laughter as they played computer games. I really missed Killer. He usually sits next to me when I read. After about an hour, I got bored, and I decided to go up to my room and work on my social studies assignment. I had to write an essay for Miss Vanderhoff, my family, and what they mean to me. But I kept thinking about the Gruul and how it was totally ruining my family. So far, all I had written was, I'm Kat Merton, and my family means an awful lot to me. What a fucking standard, like, bullshit assignment for that period of time. Write what your family means to you. A lot. Alright, we're done here. What is it? and then you I feel like they're like, if you have the kid who's like, my family doesn't mean jack diddle to me, I hate them all. And they're like, well, now you little boy, you need to go into societal reprogramming therapy. Not exactly A-grade material, and the paper was due tomorrow morning. I decided to take a break. I went to the kitchen and poured myself a glass of chocolate milk and grabbed a handful of oatmeal cookies. On my way back upstairs, I peeked into the den. Things seemed very quiet in there. I didn't see Carlo, only Daniel playing Underwater Adventure Quest. Underwater Adventure Quest, the new game from Nintendo, coming out 1995, August. Underwater Adventure Quest. Daniel? Oh, wait, where's Carlo, I asked. Daniel replied, his eyes glued to the submarines and torpedoes flashing across the computer screen. Was my question too hard for you? I asked sarcastically. I'll go slower now. Where is Carlo? Home, he mumbled. Did he get mad because you sank more enemy submarines than he did? I joked. Daniel didn't answer. I headed upstairs to my room. I set down my milk and cookies. I couldn't help but glance at the gerbil cage. It wasn't what I saw that made a prickle of fear run down my back. It was what I didn't see. The cage stood empty. The Gruul was gone. Escaped. Escapade. Underwater Adventure Quest is just Adventure Quest, but you play it in a submarine. Man, you're right. Underwater Adventure Quest, all they did was just reuse the assets from Adventure Quest, and then just put it underwater and place the character with a submarine. Absolute bullshit. We're doing a bit, right? Adventure Quest isn't a real game, right? This is a bit. This is a bit, right? This is a bit, right? This is a bit. Oh my god, Adventure Quest is a real thing. Oh wait. Wait, oh wait, okay, so this is an actual thing. This is real. I was doing a bit. On adventure. Hold on a second. Where am I? Okay, good. That's fine. Flash bomb. Adventure Quest is online flash single player role playing game. 20 as of March 2018. Guardianship fee was in 2003. 2002. I've never heard of this. I've never once heard of this. Is this what y'all are talking about? Oh my god. I didn't know this was. I thought we were doing a bit. I didn't know this was real. Holy shit. That's really funny. I had no idea that was an actual thing. It was a cheesy and cheap Flash game. My jam in middle school. I almost sent in like $5, I think it was, for their premium thing. I never did, but I wanted to so bad. Holy shit. I had no idea. That is new to me. Never heard of it before. Got into them because Aurelio Voltaire. Because of oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. That's right. Because I've seen. Because I've listened to Aurelio Voltaire before. I love his music, and whenever I was like looking up his songs, there were some that were like, oh, Adventure Quest version, and I was like, what? And I just never looked deeper into that. I had no idea. That's awesome. That's cool. Today I learned. Chapter 18. Back to this evil sponge. How had it escaped? The gruel had never even tried to get out of its cage before. Carlos stole it, didn't it? Sorry, I got distracted. I was looking at the chat. We're all still talking about how much Voltaire kicks ass. It was the Billy and Mandy episode that got me into Voltaire. That made me aware of his existence. Brains, I won't lie. I'm not gonna play the song because I don't want to get copyright. How it escaped? The gruel had never even tried to get out of its cage before. In fact, the stupid sponge never seemed very interested in going anywhere. Why did it disappear now? Oh, it's because Carlos stole it. And where did it go? And what kind of trouble was it planning to make? It couldn't get very far, I told myself. It had no legs. I started to call Daniel, but my throat choked in panic. I frantically started to search for the gruel. I slid on my stomach under the bed. Not there. I pulled everything out of my closet. I opened the dresser drawers. No sign of it. I checked every inch of the room. I even called out to it. Here, gruel. Here, gruel. No way. The creature was gone. The words from the Encyclopedia of the Weird suddenly flashed in my mind. Anyone who gives the gruel away will die within 1 day. Daniel, I shrieked. Daniel! I tore down the stairs to the living room. I shook him so hard he dropped his computer mouse. The gruel is gone, I cried. It escaped. Daniel turned away from the computer screen. Excuse me? What do you mean, gone? It's gone. The cage is empty, I wailed. Daniel scrunched up his face, thinking hard. I know where it is, he said. Carlo. Huh? I cried. How could you? How could you let Carlo take it? I didn't let him, Daniel snapped. He must have grabbed it and then when he left. Carlo thinks it's all a big joke. He said there's no way a little sponge can do anything bad. What a jerk, I sputtered. Maybe we should let him keep that gruel. It would teach him a lesson. Real nasty lesson. Cat, we can't, Daniel exclaimed. He's my best friend. We have to get the gruel back from him before something terrible happens. Daniel and I pulled our jackets out of the hall closet. Then we ran out to the garage. We jumped on our bikes and pedaled furiously down Maple Lane. Where do you think he went? I shouted. Let's try the school playground, Daniel suggested. There's always a bunch of kids there. Yeah, and Carlo's a big show-off, I exclaimed. He probably went straight to the playground to show off the gruel. He's not a show-off, Daniel protested. He is too, I argued. Pedaling furiously, I shot way ahead of Daniel. I made it to Chestnut Street a few minutes later. Only 2 more blocks. I called breathlessly. I slowed down so that Daniel could catch up. I turned the corner. Oh no, I screamed. I squeezed on the brakes, stopped short. Who was that lying in the middle of the street? Was it Carlo? Yes! Carlo sprawled on his stomach, his arms and legs stretched over the pavement. We're too late, Daniel cried. We're too late. He's faking it. He's faking it. That's what he's gonna be like. The girl got me. You guys are idiots. Chapter 19. Our bikes crashed to the ground as Daniel and I leaped off of them. We bent over to Carlo, calling his name. Oh, wow, Carlo let out a low moan. He clutched his right leg. Carlo, I yelled breathlessly. What is it? What happened? Are you okay? Carlo bent his leg carefully and winced. My knee really hurts. I twisted it when I fell off my bike. I looked up and saw his bike, on its side under a tree. How did it happen? Daniel asked weakly. My brother hates the sight of blood. Some of the older kids wanted to race me, Carlo groaned. I didn't really want to race them, but they dared they dared me. They dared me. Can't do anything. Kid dares you to do it. You just gotta do it. It's the law. Gotta do it. No choice. He sat up, still rubbing his knee. Man, I was flying. Then, well, I hit some gravel and skidded into a tree. Those kids thought it was all riot. They just rode off and left me. Daniel, help me get him up, I instructed. We put our hands around Carlo and guided him over to the curb. Then we just sat there, staring at Carlo's mangled bicycle. The handlebars looked like giant metal pretzel. You know what? Carlo finally said. There is a huge blob of ink covering, like, the word. I can tell it's the word even, but it must be like a printing error or something, because there's just this, like, huge blob of, like, ink or whatever on here that's blocking the word, like, the full even. So it's just like Ev. I didn't see that stupid tree until I was right on top of it. Daniel poked me. I knew he was thinking what I was thinking. The gruel strikes again. Oh, the books were printed cheaply? Yeah, I bet. It feels cheap. The gruel strikes again. We had to get the gruel back. Carlo, where is the gruel? I asked. Right there in my bike basket, he pointed. I reached over to the tangled handlebars and felt around the basket with my hand, and felt again. Nothing in the basket, completely empty. Carlo, give me a break, I complained. There's no gruel in there. Where is it? My voice got high and shrill. I could feel the panic sweeping over me. It's gotta be in there, Carlo declared. That's where I stuck it. I was gonna take it right home. Oh, sure, Carlo, I snapped, like you weren't gonna bring it to this playground and show it off. Carlo hung his head. Well, maybe for a couple minutes. I'm just gonna show it off a little bit. Great, just great, I fumed. Because of you, the gruel is missing. Daniel leaned close to me, his face pale with fear. We gotta find the gruel, Cat, he whispered. Remember what the encyclopedia said. If you don't find it in a day, you'll die. You will die. You will fucking die. You'll do a big, fat, dead die. I remember, I replied with a shudder. But how are we ever gonna find it now? Where can it be? I'm gonna take another sippy of water. Alright. Chapter 20. We're in the last fourth. Let's go. I don't even know where to start looking, I sighed. Maybe it fell out of the basket when I hit the tree, Carlo suggested. Maybe it rolled somewhere around here. Daniel tugged on my sleeve. Come on, he urged. Let's start looking. Carlo stood up. I'd better get home, he said. He limped away. Luckily, his house was on the next block. Daniel and I hunted all over the block. Indoors, underneath cars, in flower beds. Oh, in doorways. Indoors, they just, like, break into people's houses and they're like, hey, do you have a sponge? In doorways, underneath cars, in flower beds, anywhere the gruel might have rolled. No luck. As we were about to give up, I spotted a sewer grating a few feet away from Carlo's bike. Could the gruel have tumbled down there? Daniel saw the sewer, too. Cat? I'll bet it rolled down into the sewer. It's down there, I know it is. I dropped to the pavement, on my stomach, and peered into the darkness through the grating. It's way too dark to see anything, I reported. Somebody will have to go down there. So, I've never watched it, like, the movies, or read the book, or, God forbid, I don't think I'd ever want to read the book. But I never saw any of those. So I feel like there's a chance to make, like a, I don't know, like a, what's the line? We all float down here kind of joke. The evil clown in the sewer. But I don't know anything about it, so I'm not comfortable enough to make that joke. Someone, if you've seen it, make your own joke in your brain about a sewer grate and a clown looking out with the red balloon. You don't want to know the canon on it. That's the thing. I actually kind of know a little bit of the canon on it, and I wish I didn't. The clown says that shortly before killing a child. Well, he shouldn't do that. That's mean. Why would the clown do that? Clowns are supposed to be funny. Why is he killing people? Why is he killing people? Is he some kind of interdimensional space spider that's actually, like, feeding on people's fears? And then then it ends up being, like, this lifelong thing for these kids when they turn into adults? And then they have to fight this thing again? I know a little bit about it. I know a little bit. I know he's some kind of weird, like, ancient spider demon thing, and he's just a clown because he's like, haha, clown. Yeah, I know. Don't remind me of the lose their innocence to get rid of it part. I know about that. I know about a lot of things in it. Anyway, we're gonna stop talking about it. Where was I? Somebody, maybe I could go, my brother offered in a shaky voice. Daniel acts really brave, but I know he's afraid of a lot of things, like dark sewers. He'd freak out down in the sewer. No, I'll do it, I said. The gruel knows me better. We lifted off the heavy grate. I felt around with my sneaker. It slid against a narrow ladder built into the side of the sewer. I guess this is the only way down, I said softly. Here I go. Slowly, I lowered myself into the dark. I'm so fucking immature. I lowered myself into the dark, wet hole. Been a lot of hole talk in this book. Digging holes, filling holes, dark holes, wet holes. So many holes. The ladder rungs were wet and slippery. The walls were thick with sewer slime. This place really stinks, I called up. I can't believe I'm doing this. Squish, squish. Featuring Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf. I can't play it, but y'all hear that song that's just about, like, Shia LaBeouf hunting you through the woods? It's just like, Shia LaBeouf, he's coming to kill you. Shia LaBeouf, he's chasing you through the woods. Shia LaBeouf, it's Shia LaBeouf. Yep, that made him a meme again. As I reached the sewer floor, my sneaker landed on something wet and oozy. Gross, I screamed, pulling my foot back up. I probably stepped on poop. Actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf. Gross, I screamed, pulling my foot back up. Are you okay? Daniel called from above. He sounded 10 miles away. Yeah, I shouted back. I think I stepped on a big fat poopy. I think I stepped on a big flat wide stinkum. Yeah, I shouted back. I think I stepped on a pile of slime. Wow, it's really dark down here. I carefully touched my feet down again and gripped the ladder tightly with one hand, afraid I would never find my way back if I let go. It's too dark, I realized. I'll never find the gruel down here. Then I heard it. Breathing. The gruel, but where? I held my breath and stood completely still. I concentrated really hard, trying to figure out exactly where in the inky blackness the breathing came from. Somewhere to my right? I knew I had to walk over there and snatch the gruel, but I was afraid to let go of the ladder. Finally, I decided to count my steps there, find the gruel, then count the same number of steps back to the ladder. That's pretty smart, actually. I swallowed hard and let go of the ladder. I stepped into the blackness and started counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. The breathing sounded a little closer. 5, 6. I stopped. I listened hard. Huh? I cried to myself. What's that scratching sound? Then I saw the eyes. Not the gruel's small round eyes, but big bright eyes. Several pairs of them, all glowing at me in the dark. Oh, you found rats. Those are rats. You found rats. And the rats are all going to be like... Chapter 21. The scratching grew louder. The eyes stared up at me. Yellow eyes glowing in the darkness. I heard a creature scrabble over the floor. Felt something warm and furry brush up against my leg. Were they raccoons? Rats? I didn't want to know. They were rats. They're rats. They're rats. That's where they live. They live in the sewer. Unless they're turtles. Turtles live in the sewers too, and they know kung fu. Another one brushed against me. They were all starting to scrape around on the sewer floor. They were growing restless. I forced myself to breathe, turned, and started to run. Get me out of here, I thought. Get me out of here before they attack. My sneakers slid all over the damp slimy floor. Oh, please let me find my way out of here, I prayed as I stumbled through the darkness. Ow, my knee slammed into something hard. I cried out and reached for something to lean on. I'm not going to do that anymore. We're rats. We're rats. We're the rats. That's the other person. That's the other thing that lives down in the sewers is Germa. Oh, the rat's voice or the other voice? I got hold of the ladder. Yes, yes, I cried happily. Ignoring my throbbing knee, I scrambled up the slimy rungs, up towards the light. Daniel, help me out, I cried. Daniel leaned down and grabbed my hands. He helped pull me out of that awful hole, that awful wet, slimy hole. The hole in the floor that I was in that led me to the sewers with the rats. Oh, jeez. Anyway. Just pulling that out of nowhere. I fell into the pavement and nearly sobbed with relief. Daniel dropped down next to me. Did you get it? He asked eagerly. Did you find it? I wiped my sludge-covered hands on my jeans. No, I told him, no gruel. I should have gone down there, he declared. I definitely would have found it. You definitely would have been terrified, I replied angrily. There were animals down there. Rats, maybe dozens of them. Yeah, sure, he said, rolling his eyes. He sighed. Yeah, sure, there's rats in the sewer. I'm glad I'm in the store alone right now because I'm laughing my butt off. No, wait, no. Now what do we do? He kicked a pebble across the street. I sighed. Don't worry, we'll find the gruel. But how? He cried. We can't even find Killer. We'll never find the little sponge. I've never seen Daniel this upset. Daniel, the police will find Killer. I know they will, except they won't because they're cops, so who gives a shit? Because they're not going to find anything. Because they're not going to devote time to finding your fucking dog. Because they're cops. And the... Are the rats in the room with us right now? The rats, widow rats. We stalk at night with the widow rats. I'm the giant rat that makes all. I'm the giant gruel that makes all of the rules. We're gruels, the gruels. We're the gruels. We sponge at night, we squish at night. We're the gruels. I'm the biggest gruel that makes all of the rats. I never see Daniel this upset. Daniel, the police will find... Can't read that with the straight face. Daniel, the police will find Killer. I know they will, I said softly. We must have missed the sponge, he said, ignoring my words. We have to check everywhere again. We started to search again, in the street, in the grass, behind hedges, under trees. Carlo appeared as if we were about to give up. He was walking fine. He examined his... Oh, wait, no. Carlo appeared as we were about to give up. He was walking fine. He examined his mangled bike, then helped us with our search. The afternoon sun was setting behind the trees. The air felt cooler. Evening was approaching. I sank down on the sidewalk, feeling totally hopeless. The warning in the encyclopedia kept running through my mind. Was it possible? Could it be true? If we didn't find the gruel, would my life really be over by tomorrow? Your motherfucking life ends 15 minutes from now. Hold on a second. I gotta look up that image for context. Your motherfucking life ends 30 minutes from now. The gruel just hanging out, just like looking at her. Your motherfucking life ends 30 minutes from now. I love Pop Team Epic. Your motherfucker. There we go. That's a nicer version. Your motherfucking life ends 30 minutes from now. There it is! Daniel's excited shout interrupted my frightening thoughts. There it is, my brother cried happily. I see it! I see the gruel! Chapter 22. Daniel took off, running full speed. Way to go! Way to go! My heart pounding, I leapt up from the sidewalk. You're the most awesome brother in the entire universe! I was so excited and happy, I threw my arms around Carlo. He saved my life, I shouted. He saved my life! Fucking saved my life! I love my brother! Hey, give me a break, Carlo cried, squirming away. I hurried after Daniel. I watched him bend down to pick up something. Something small and round. Something small and round and brown. Small and round and brown. He found something small and round and brown. 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 It's small and round and brown. Brown, 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 brown. It's a very musical stream today. Hello, Seti. Welcome in. Small and round and brown, small and round and brown. But a gust of wind rolled the gruel away from him. Hey, he cried out. He stumbled after it. The wind blew it out of his reach again. Got you, Daniel cried. Got you, Daniel cried, pouncing on it. Bring it here, I yelled. Oh, wow, he murmured. His face fell. Sorry about that. It's not the gruel. I grabbed the thing from his hands. No, it's not, I whispered sadly. Not the gruel. Only a brown paper bag, all wadded up into a ball. All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces. All around me, wait for the daily races. You're gonna fucking die because you're cursed by a sponge. That feel when a sponge curses you to die. Daniel hurled the paper bag to the ground and stomped on it. My stomach lurched. I really felt sick. Time is running out, I thought, and we might have no idea where the gruel might be. A tear came to my eye, and I blinked it away quickly. I didn't want Daniel and Carly... Carlo transitions to Carly later in life. I didn't want Daniel and Carlo to see how scared I was. The panic rose in my chest. Would I really die if we didn't find the evil creature? I suddenly pictured Mom and Dad sitting around crying, missing me. I pictured Aunt Louise wailing, It's all my fault. I didn't believe her. I didn't believe her when she said she had an evil sponge. And I was like, no, that's stupid. You don't have an evil sponge. And then I left, but if I'd only believed. If a sponge cursed me to die, I'd simply eat it. As long as it doesn't have a mouth. As long as it doesn't have a mouth, that would be my concern. If it has a mouth, it could do some damage in there. I would simply eat it. I still think I'd still like my plan of just trying to annoy it to death. Like, I just sit it down in front of, like, Finger Family videos for, like, 16 hours and just, like, see how it does. I imagined Daniel walking to school all alone. I gazed down at my brother, who slumped sadly on the curb with Carlo, and I had a truly terrifying idea. Maybe the gruel wasn't lost. Maybe the creepy little creature had decided to hide from me, so it could perform its most evil trick of all. Hide for 24 hours so that I'd have the ultimate bad luck. Death. If I'm dying anyways, I'm taking the little idiot down with me. You know what? I like the way you think. Carlos startled me by jumping to his feet. His dark eyes glowed excitedly. I have an idea. I have an idea, he cried. An idea, I demanded. What kind of idea? Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? Is it an idea? That's vor. See, I don't know. Is it really vor if I'm doing it maliciously? If I'm eating the sponge because I hate the sponge and I want the sponge to die, is that really vor? I feel like vor is a consenting procedure. Yes. Okay. Chapter 23. You know those guys who raced me? Carlo asked, tugging me forward along the street. The ones who hang out at the playground? Yeah, what about them? I asked. I bet one of them picked up the gruel. I kind of remember. Daniel didn't even wait for Carlo to finish the sentence. Let's go, he shouted. He sprang onto his bike and raced off towards the playground. I picked up my bike and started pedaling after my brother. Carlo ran behind us, calling, Wait up, wait up! I can only run. We pedaled to the playground and walked our bikes to the baseball field. That's where the older kids usually hang out. There they are, Carlo said. He pointed to a group of boys taking turns batting and fielding balls. Carlo, Daniel whispered nervously. Those guys are really big. They look like they're in high school. I spotted two older boys standing on the side of the baseball field. Their heads were bent, and they were staring at something on the taller boy's hands. Something small and round and brown, small and round and brown, small and round and brown, small and round and brown. They were looking at a small round brown thing, a small round brown thing, small and round and brown, small and round and brown, small and round and brown, small and round and brown. Small and round and brown. The gruel. I ran up to them. Hey, how's it going? I said in my Hey, how's it going? I said in my friendliest voice. I know this sounds dumb, but you've got my favorite sponge. Can I have it back? The tall boy narrowed his eyes at me. He was kind of good looking, with bright green eyes and a strand of blonde hair down over his shoulders. Your favorite sponge? He repeated. He grinned. Sorry, you're mistaken. This is my favorite sponge. No, really, I insisted. It fell off that kid's bike. I pointed to Carlo. He and Daniel stood watching from a distance. I really need it. Can you prove it's yours? The boy demanded. He rolled it around in his hand. I don't see your name on it. This is kind of fucked up. If these kids are in high school, like, why are they... Well, I guess kids in high school... I guess kids just pick on kids no matter what age they're at. I feel like there should be a pocket of time where, like, if you're a 12-year-old and, like, a high schooler says taking your shit, then they should... I don't know. I was about to say they should be depressed enough to, like, not give a shit and give it back, but then I'm like, that's probably just my experience. If a bully had taken my favorite sponge, I would simply eat them. Can you prove it's yours? The boy demanded. He rolled it around his hand. I don't see your name on it. I narrowed my eyes and gave him my meanest glare. You better give it back to me, I threatened, because it's not really a sponge. It's evil. It brings bad luck to anyone who has it. Oh, I'm really scared, he teased. Maybe it's bad luck for you because you're not getting it back. He waved the gruel in front of my face, then called to his friend. Hey, Dave, catch. He tossed the gruel to Dave. Here, he snickered, catch some bad luck. Hey, give me that, I leapt for the gruel, but the sponge sailed high over my head. Back and forth they threw the gruel, laughing, keeping it high over my head out of my reach. They were having fun. I wasn't. After 10 minutes of their stupid keep-away game, I gave... 10 minutes? 10 minutes? You went 10 minutes of this nonsense? I would have given up after like 30 seconds. After 10... I gave up. Fine, I thought. Let them play with the gruel. They'll soon find out that they didn't play fair. And I thought nastily. Is there a bug? Never mind. Sorry, I thought I saw a bug. As I backed off, I shouted at the two older boys. You'll be sorry. The blonde guy shrugged his shoulders, laughed, and hurried off to take his turn at bat. He made a big show of tucking the sponge into his back pocket, where he knew I couldn't get it. He stepped to the plate, crouched in a batter's stance. Thwack! The very first pitch beamed the guy in the head. His eyes rolled around wildly. He wobbled, then sank to the ground. He collapsed in a heap and didn't move. If I had a nickel... Okay. I don't think I can do a Dr. Doofenshmirtz voice, so I'm not going to. But if I had a nickel for every Goosebumps novel that featured a guy getting hit in the head with a baseball and being knocked out, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice in a row. Because that's what happened in the last Goosebumps novel. He collapsed in a heap and didn't move. Help, the other boys were shouting. Somebody help! The gruel had done its work. The bad luck had struck again. Is he okay? Daniel asked. Is he... I didn't answer. I saw the gruel roll out of the boy's back pocket and onto the ground. I like how in Goosebumps stories, older kids are always assholes, just no matter what. The older you get, the more there's like a ratio of how old you are to how much of an asshole you are to someone younger than you. And it peaks when you hit like adult and you just don't believe anything that a child says ever. I darted forward and dove for the evil sponge, but my hands closed around dry grass. Dave, the blonde boy's friend, snatched the gruel before I could reach it. Go chase it, he cried. He heaved the little creature high into the sky. Wow, your friend gets hit with a baseball and your first thought is to grab the sponge out of his pocket and throw it? What an asshole. Chapter 24. I made a desperate grab, but Dave was much taller than me. He caught the gruel easily. Here, take it, he said. He tossed it at me. Then he hurried over to check on his friend. The blonde boy was sitting up now, rubbing his head. I'm okay, he kept repeating. Really, I'm okay. What hit me? Daniel and I hurried to our bikes. Carlo came running after us. I tossed the gruel into my bike basket. The sponge creature pulsed so violently that the basket shook as I rode. Its body changed from red to black, changing in time to its horrible breathing. Boom, boom. It snickered with joy. It acted so pleased with itself, so happy it had knocked the blonde boy out. I don't know, I feel like he earned that one. I think he's allowed to laugh about that. I love you, but I gotta go. It's time to drive home. It was lots of fun. Have a safe trip home, Sue. I hope you have a safe drive home. It just leave the death token at the who stole it. You're disgusting, I shouted. I'm taking you home and locking you in that cage. I pedaled rapidly, standing up for that extra boost of speed. Home, I thought. Get me home. I zoomed. That's a bad idea to try and go really fast on your bike while you have an icon of bad luck inside your vehicle, inside your bike. I zoomed down Oak Street, hunching over my bike with my head down. Faster, faster, I pedaled. The wind whipped my hair into my eyes. I heard Daniel calling out from behind me, but I was riding too fast. He was probably saying, "Stop riding so goddamn fast. You're carrying the evil sponge that causes bad luck. And this is, like, primo opportunity to knock you on your ass." I heard him call out again, and then I heard the blare of a horn and the shrill squeal of brakes. I turned around to see an enormous black and silver truck skidding over the street, about to crush me like a bug. And then she died. The end. No. Chapter 25. I squeezed my brakes hard. The truck skidded up behind me, tires scraping the pavement, horn blaring. My bike lurched to a stop and I tumbled off. Hit the pavement hard on my elbows and knees. The bike bounced onto the curb, toppled over. I rolled onto the grass, and the truck swerved away, squealed to a stop. Missed me by less than a foot. I climbed shakily to my feet and stood there on the side of the road, too terrified to move. I turned to see the truck driver toss open the door of his cab. "What were you doing in the middle of the street?" he shouted at me. "I could have killed you. Do your parents know you're out here like this?" Once again, the older you are, the more of an asshole you are to someone younger than you. You almost run over a child, and your response is to then yell at the child. You almost kill. You're the one driving the fucking Ford F-150 ass, huge ass truck, and like not paying attention. Fuck you. Great, I thought bitterly. First this guy almost squashes me into a pancake, then he yells at me. "Sorry," I called. What else could I say? I waited for the truck driver to back up and drive away. And all the time I kept thinking, bad luck forever. I'm gonna have bad luck forever. If it was truly bad luck, you'd probably be dead. So it's probably good luck that you didn't die. And all the time I kept thinking, bad luck forever. I'm gonna have bad luck forever. I called to Daniel and Carlo that I was okay. Then I raced down Oak Street and turned onto Maple. Only 2 houses to go, I thought. I pushed down harder on the pedals. Blam! My front tire hit something. A broken bottle, I think. The bike toppled onto its side and I fell with it. Ow, I cried. I'm spending a lot of time on the ground, I realized. I examined the tire, completely shredded. Bad luck. Bad luck forever. I don't know, you kind of brought that on your set. Like, you have the gruel. Like, the threat of death because you couldn't find the gruel, that is now mitigated. You have the gruel. You can kind of take your time. I examined the tire, completely shredded. Bad luck forever. I heard the gruel's wicked laugh. The sound filled me with rage. I kicked the bicycle and stubbed my toe on the metal wheel rim. Ouch! I yelped, grabbing my foot. Bad luck forever. With a furious cry, I grabbed the evil sponge and flung it to the ground. Then I jumped back on my bike and started to run over the gruel, back and forth, squishing the evil creature to the ground. Stop it! Daniel screamed, riding up onto the grass. You can't kill the gruel. You're only giving it what it wants. The gruel, like, hurt me more. I glared at my brother. I struggled to catch my breath. Look at it, Daniel shouted, pointing. The gruel is getting even more excited. You're helping it, not hurting it. I lowered my eyes to the gruel. It pulsed faster than before. An evil light shone from its ugly little eyes. Its blood-red body gleamed in the afternoon sun. The cruel snicker cut through the air like fingernails on a chalkboard. I grabbed my bike and wheeled it to our driveway. I let it fall to the asphalt. Then I ran back to the gruel, gripped it tightly in one hand, and carried it into the house. Daniel followed close behind me. Now what are you going to do, he asked. You'll see, I said. I made my way to the kitchen. My heart pounded. I could feel the blood racing at my temples. Meow. Meow. Spooky, can I help you? Meow. Meow. Can I help you? I'm busy. Here, come up to the chair. I'll pet you. Just come up to the chair. Just stop screaming at me. I'm reading. Stop yelling. Stop yelling at me, you animal. You creature. You little freakazoid. Tell her I said meow. Spooky, Machine Elf says meow. Do you have a response? She says meow back. Meow. Anyway. Oh boy, okay. Not too much further to there's not too much more to go. Let's hash this out. Meow. Then I ran back to the gruel, gripped it. Oh wait, no. I grabbed my bike and wheeled it to our driveway. I let it fall to the asphalt. Then I ran back to the gruel, gripped it tightly in one hand, and carried it into the house. Daniel followed close behind me. Now what are you gonna do? Oh right, okay. I jammed the gruel into the kitchen sink drain. Then I grabbed a wooden spatula and stabbed at the gruel, shoving it deep down into the pipe. Daniel stood beside me, watching in silence. I turned the hot water on full force. I flicked a switch next to the sink and smiled at my brother. The garbage disposal gurgled on. Stop tearing up the carpet! Stop it! Ooh, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna pick you up. Or you can run away. Never mind. I like it. This is pretty cold-blooded, actually. I like this girl's plan. The gurgle became a whine. The whine became a roar as grinding teeth went to work. Yes, I cried happily. Yes. 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 Murder, death, kill. A few seconds later, the disposal had ground up the gruel. And that's the end of that chapter. That's the end of that, I told Daniel, sighing happily. I listened to the pipes run clean. Down the drain. Yay! Carlo came running into the kitchen. What's happening? He cried breathlessly. Where's the gruel? I turned to Carlo, grinning. Oh, God. Spooky, what do you want? I'm trying to give you attention, but I'm also trying to finish this damn book. What do you want? I will pet you, but you have to get closer. And stop running away. Or you can run away. Okay, that's fine. Meow. Sorry, I keep getting distracted. My cat wants my attention so bad right now. That's the end. That's the end of that. Carlo came running into the kitchen. What's happening? Where's the gruel? I turned to Carlo, grinning. It's gone. The gruel is gone, I announced gleefully. Then I heard my brother gasp. I saw his mouth drop open as he stared down into the sink. No, it's not. No, it's not. His voice was so low I could barely hear him. No, it's not gone, he whispered. I lowered my eyes to the sink and realized at once what had horrified Daniel. The hot water had started to back up. It splashed and spurted up from the drain, as if something were pushing it with great force. The hot water churned quickly, rolling up from the pipe below. I don't believe it, Carlo cried. The gruel popped up, bobbing in the churning hot water. There it was, still in one piece. It had turned bright purple, an angry purple. As I stared down at it in horror, it thumped wildly in the sink. No, I screamed. It's impossible. You can't be back. You can't. I grabbed the sopping wet gruel and squeezed it as hard as I could. A river of water ran out of the slimy thing and into the sink. The harder I gripped, the warmer the gruel felt. Warmer and... Ow! I dropped it as it became scorching hot. Quickly, I ran my hands under soothing cold water. The gruel perched on the side of the sink. It throbbed with joy. Please stop. Please stop describing it that way. It throbbed with joy, leered up at me with its creepy eyes, and let out an evil cackle. Daniel, Carlo, I moaned, there has to be a way to kill this thing. There has to. Think, guys. But the two of them stared in silence at the throbbing gruel. Come on, Daniel, think. I waved my hand in front of Daniel's face. Help me, I'm all out of ideas. Suddenly his eyes came back into focus. I've got an idea, he said quietly. He rushed out of the kitchen. I'll be right back, he shouted, leaving Carlo and me alone with the nasty creature. I hate you! I hate you! I shouted at it, but my anger seemed to make it pulse faster. A short while later, Daniel hurried back into the room. Maybe this'll help, he announced. He set the Encyclopedia of the Weird on the kitchen table. I borrowed it from the library, he explained. I thought we might need it. He started the search for gruel in the index. Oh, Daniel, I sighed wearily. We've already read everything in that book about gruels. It can't help us. But maybe you missed something important, Carlo insisted. Daniel flipped through the pages of the encyclopedia. Here's the part about killing the gruel, he said. Let's see what it says. He started reading. The gruel cannot be killed by force or any violent means. That's it, I demanded. There's nothing else? Daniel slammed the book shut. Nothing else. Cannot be killed by force or by any violent means. So there's got to be like a non-violent, non-forceful way to kill it. I think that would work. That's got to be a loophole. What if you were just like happy and like what if it manages to die like by accident? Feed it joy and encase it in concrete. Pump a whole lot of drugs to it and then just like freeze it. Daniel slammed the book shut. Nothing else, he replied sadly. Cat, it really can't be killed. It's the most evil creature in the world, and it can't be killed, not by force, not by violence, not by anything. Not by force, I repeated, thinking hard. Not by violence. I stared at the throbbing purple creature. I couldn't help but smile. Cat, what's your problem? Daniel demanded. Are you totally losing it? Why are you smiling? Because the gruel can be killed, I announced, and I've just figured out how to do it. Huh? Carlo cried. You really figured it out? What are you going to do? Daniel demanded. You can't kill it. It always comes back to life. I shook my head. We'll see, I replied. I wanted to think my plan through before I explained it to them. Actually, it turned out to be pretty simple. Chapter 27. Much as I hated to, I picked up the throbbing gruel from the sink and held it gently in my hands. I patted the disgusting creature tenderly on its wrinkled head. Then I sang to it sweetly. Oh no, so they're gonna literally try to kill it with kindness. Lullaby, 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 and good night, little gruel, I love you. Please sleep tight, little gruel, la 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 la. Cat, I'm worried about you, Daniel groaned. Stop it, okay? You're a little messed up. You need to lie down. But I just kept singing as sweetly as I could. What is she doing? Daniel asked Carlo. Do you get it? Carlo shook his head. I didn't pay attention to them. I had to concentrate. I forced myself to stroke the gruel lovingly. The throbbing gruel lovingly. I hugged the slimy thing and cuddled in my arms as I would a soft puppy. I cooed in its ear. Little Gruel, cute Gruel, oh, you're so nice. You're so sweet. So wonderful, I love you. Cat, please stop, Daniel begged. You're upsetting me. You're upsetting me, Cat. I'm really worried about you, Cat. How can you pet the thing? Carlo demanded. It's so gross. Sweet Gruel, I whispered. Sweet Gruel, I cuddled it tenderly and stroked its wrinkled skin. If this doesn't work, I told myself nothing will. I'm gonna get Mom and Dad. Oh wait, no, wrong character. I'm gonna go get Mom and Dad, Daniel threatened. He started backing towards the kitchen door. Shh, I raised a finger to my lips. Then I pointed down to the Gruel cradled in my arms. Look, guys. The Gruel's violent throbbing had slowed to a gentle pulse. I sang some more, softly, gently, sweetly, and we all watched in amazement as the Gruel's color faded, from red to pink, and finally back to its ordinary dull brown color. Stop being mean to my son, book. Wow, Daniel whistled. Yeah, wow, Daniel Daniel whistled. Keep watching, I said, hugging the Gruel closely. I sang another lullaby. The Gruel let out a low sigh. I could see it shrinking, see it drying up in my arms. Its eyes closed, the dry brown skin covered them up. It's getting weaker, Cat, Daniel whispered excitedly. Keep watching, I told him. Then I cooed to the Gruel. There, dear little Gruel. Oh, what a sweet little Gruel. I rocked it like a baby. I rocked it like a hurricane. Turn it up! Anyway, the Gruel's breathing slowed, then stopped. The Gruel slumped lifelessly in my hand. Not a sound, not a throb, not a twitch. Now check this out, I announced to Daniel and Carlo. I raised the wrinkled sponge to my face and planted a big fat kiss on it. I smooched it. What? Stop staring at me. Look, they had to kiss the Gruel, okay? They had to kiss the evil wrinkled sponge.
So they had to kiss their grandpa?
Yes. They had to kiss Grandpa Sponge. They had to kiss SpongeBob so that he would stop trying to kill them.
Remember when you once told me that you thought all 99 puppies came from one Dalmatian and 101 Dalmatians?
Yeah.
I told that to my friends, and they didn't.
I feel like that's everybody.
They didn't!
I feel like that's everybody that thinks that at some point that all 101 Dalmatians came from one dog.
I didn't.
Yeah, but you had common sense. You thought about it. We didn't.
Go kiss a Gruel.
Go kiss a Gruel is like a new great insult. Alright, chapter 28. Let's round this out. The two boys made disgusted faces, but I knew what I was doing. I lowered the Gruel from my face and studied it carefully. Excuse me. That was unintentional. The sponge let out a long, slow sigh. Slow sigh. And shrank into a tiny ball. I took a deep breath and blew. The tiny ball flew apart. Dry brown puffs floated in the air. I watched the feathery puffs float to the door. Then I wiped my hands off on a towel. All done. It's gone, Carlo declared. But how? Daniel demanded. Well, you helped give me the idea, I told him. I did? Yes, I replied. When you read that part of the encyclopedia that said the Gruel can't be killed by force or violence. I smiled. I kept going over that in my mind, and finally it hit me. What hit you? Carlo asked. This brick! I knew the Gruel couldn't be killed by force or violence, I explained. But what about the opposite? I guess that no one had ever tried being nice to it before. Both boys stared at me in rapt silence. That gave me the idea that being kind was the secret to destroying the Gruel, I continued. And it worked. The Gruel was so evil that it couldn't stand being loved. Wow, Carlo breathed. That's fucked up. What an awful fucked up little existence this thing led. Excellent, Daniel exclaimed. I'm glad I came up with it. Yeah, it's great to have a genius in the family, I said sarcastically. I reached into my back pocket and pulled out the $12 my grandma had sent for my birthday. What do you say we celebrate with ice cream? I suggested with a grin. Excellent! The two boys cried happily. Maybe our luck will change now, I told Daniel. I bet we become the luckiest family on the block. Then I heard it. That familiar, terrifying, breathing sound again. I swung around and faced the door. What's that? I cried, my heart sinking. Do you hear it too? It's their dog. It's their fucking dog. Yes, we all heard it. My throat felt dry. Cold chills ran down my back. The breathing grew louder, closer. I didn't kill it, I moaned. It's back! It's back! Chapter 29. You treated its trauma and you got mad at it. It calmed down and stopped being angry and was nice and stopped rampaging. The ghoul could stand being loved. Chapter 29. Daniel grabbed my hand. I could see the fear on his face. Carlo took a step back from the door. He backed up until he bumped against the kitchen counter. We huddled together in the kitchen, afraid to move, afraid to look. We have no choice, I choked out finally. If it's back, we have to let it in. I took a deep breath. My legs didn't want to carry me. They felt as if they were made of lead, but I forced myself back to the back door. My entire body trembled as I reached for the doorknob and yanked the door open. Oh! I let out a startled cry. Killer gazed up at me. I fucking knew it. Fucking knew it was gonna be the dog. I like how I'm like talking about this as if I'm like, I'm so fucking smart. I knew it was gonna happen. Killer gazed up at me, breathing noisily, his stub of a tail wagging furiously. Killer! I yelled joyfully. You're back! I bent down to hug him, but the dog ran past me into the kitchen. Daniel let out a happy cry and pulled wait a minute. Oh, and pulled I skipped a page. And pulled the wiggling dog into his arms. Killer covered Daniel's face with wet licks. I like how the dog just was like, she's like, oh, yay, the dog's back, and the dog just completely ignores her. Killer covered Daniel's face with wet licks. Our luck has changed, I declared. I looked outside. Wow, healthy green grass covered the ground. The flowers lifted their drooping heads and burst back into dazzling color as I watched. All of the ghoul's evil seemed to be disappearing. I grabbed Killer and hugged him hard. Killer, 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 killer! Killer, killer! Killer, I crooned. We got rid of the ghoul. Come on, Daniel cried. Ice cream time. I set Killer back down on the floor and kissed him on the head. We'll be back soon, boy, I said. To the ice cream parlor, Daniel shouted as he dashed outside. Race you, he cried as he ran down the street. The winner gets the triple-decker Sunday. Carlo and I took off after Daniel. I pumped my legs hard and pulled out in front. But at the last minute, Daniel pushed me and tagged the door of the restaurant. I won, Daniel cried happily. We hurried into the ice cream parlor. Table for 3, Daniel said with a grin. The waitress seated us, handed us some menus, and wiped the table with a sponge. Anyway. Yuck, get that thing out of here, Daniel shrieked. The waitress didn't understand, but we all laughed, and it was the first time in weeks. Don't mind my brother, I said. He's got a thing about sponges. He kicked me under the table, and I pinched him back hard. The waitress rolled her eyes, then she took her herders. The waitress is like, I'm not paid enough for this. You fucking kids always coming into the fucking ice cream parlor, being all fucking weird about sponges. I should have went to college. No, I already went to college. This is the best I could do with my philosophy degree. As we shoveled down our Sundays, I realized how hungry I was, and how happy I was. The gruel was gone, forever. We were so full, we practically rolled back home. Killer, here, boy. I pushed the back door open and stepped into the kitchen. Hey, Killer, come here. Aren't you glad to see us? Killer didn't turn around. He stood at the sink, growling and wagging his tail. He had his nose pressed up against the cabinet door, trying to push it open. All right, Killer, we had our ice cream. Now it's time for your treat, I said. I put down a fresh bowl of dog food and added a few small pieces to last night's turkey. Come on, Killer, dinner time, I called. He growled at the cabinet underneath the sink. What's going on? The dog never walks away from a meal, I thought. Killer, Daniel said. What are you doing there, Killer? I bent down and petted the dog's back. Killer, there's nothing there. The gruel is gone. But Killer kept growling. Okay. I yanked the cabinet door open for the dog. See? Killer shoved his head inside. I grabbed him by the scruff of the neck and pulled him out. He carried something in his teeth. What is that, boy? Daniel asked. Killer dropped his find on the floor, then gazed up at me. I picked it up. Something hard, lumpy. What is it? Daniel asked, stepping close. I breathed a sigh of relief. No problem, it's only a potato. I started to hand it to Daniel, but something sharp pricked my finger. Ow! I cried, startled. I rolled the potato over my hand. It felt warm. I could feel it breathing. Daniel, I don't like the look of this, I murmured. The potato had a mouthful of teeth. Aw, shit. Here we go again. Hold on a second. Here we go again. Aw, shit. Here we go again. I'm not getting a tip from these shits. Alright. Alright, we did it. Oh, that was the thing. It came from under the sink. Oh, there we go. Alright. Alright, book's over. Everyone go home. Get the hell out. Get the hell out of the stream. Stream's over. Everyone leave. Everyone go away. I'm done. No more reading tonight. Oy, oy, oy. Alright, so. As usual, we'll be back on Tuesday. I don't know with what. But we'll be back with something. Probably another bad idea. Because holy shit, when I tried reading light novels on Tuesday, I don't even need to go into that again, but reading light novels on Tuesday, oof, those were rough. Those were bad. Yeah, I don't know, I'll figure something out. Anyway, yeah, we'll go ahead and call it there. Oof, I need to soothe my throat and shower and have a snack. So all y'all have a good night, sleep tight, and